Hey truckers, today we're seeing part 6 of From Enemies to Lovers, a hidden marriage story. Let's dive into the video. It's Lu Tingxiao, isn't it? Ningxi stiffened when she heard him say Lu Tingxiao's name. If you dare do anything to him, I won't let you go. So you're not worried that he might hurt me instead? He won't. At least, she still had faith in Lu Tingxiao, but she was not so sure about this fellow with a twisted mind. Moreover, Lu Tingxiao did not even know who he was. TSK, what a cold-hearted person. Although the man sounded casual, Ningxi knew that he was actually angry. Ningxi calmed herself down for a bit, then said, "Firstly, I have nothing to do with you, and secondly, I do not have anything to do with Lu Tingxiao either. I've already said that I won't get together with anyone. Honey, the point is, you're in love with him." Damn that bastard. He was hundreds of miles away from here, so why did it feel like he knew everything? At Platinum Palace. Lu Jingli approached his brother shortly after Ningxi left, then politely asked, "Bro, how was your sleep? Feeling better? Can I report to you now?" "Proceed." Probably because he was still seated on Ningxi's bed, his expression was gentle, and it seemed like he was thinking about something. "I've gotten a little info about the people in charge regarding the few companies that have been opposing us recently. They are all from overseas. What should we do now?" "Let's lure them out." Ningxi dragged her luggage back to her apartment and was preparing to leave after she dropped them off. As she was rushing, her doorbell rang. Butler Yuan and Wanwan stood in front of her door with a respectful bow, along with a whole row of maids, all of whom were carefully holding one piece of garment each. "Miss Xiaoxi, we're here to deliver something." Butler Yuan spoke to her politely, as though he had not framed her, acting like nothing had happened before. He was definitely experienced in such games, based on his composure. By comparison, Wanwan was too young to handle this. She dared not look her in the eye. Ningxi did not want to make it awkward for Wanwan, so she gave them her spare key and said, "Just put it anywhere you see fit. I'm in a rush, so I'll be leaving first." "Understood, Miss Xiaoxi." After Ningxi left, the group entered the house. Ningxi's closet was already full after she had put her things in, and it could not fit any more clothes inside. Wanwan then walked over to the dressing table and moved a candle decoration on it. Some sort of mechanism was activated and the wall opposite the dressing table opened up slowly. There was another huge walk-in closet inside. Butler Yuan gave his orders, and the maids arranged the clothes and bags in an orderly manner. At Movie City. The first thing she did when she met the drama crew was to apologize to the director. First, she was late to the set, then she had applied for a half-day leave. In the end, she had taken a whole day off. For someone who respected work ethics like Ningxi, what she had done was unforgivable. Luckily, Ningxi had kept a good record for all this while, so not only was Guo Qixing not angry, he even comforted her. "You're always so uptight, Ningxi. Being professional is good, but you're stressing yourself too much. It's normal to have an emergency sometimes. The shooting is coming to an end already, and we're way ahead of our progress, so why don't you take a 2-day break? Go on and relax." "Thank you, Director." Ningxi was relieved. As for her situation right now, she really needed some time to adjust. After the shooting at night, she went back to her apartment instead of the hotel since the director had given her a 2-day break. Upstadt from n0/v/lbn/co/m. Just as she was about to leave, an actress called out to her, "Ningxi, Ningxi, Ningxuelua is having a party at her apartment, let's go together. I heard that her house is really pretty, especially her gorgeous walk-in closet. All the clothes and bags inside are limited editions, a dream come true for all us women. It even got featured in a magazine last time, now we have a chance to see it for ourselves. Ningxi had heard people talking about Ningxueluo's walk-in closet before. It was said to have a large collection of garments that were out of stock. She did not really have much interest in luxurious branded items, only buying them for the sake of blending into the industry. Actually, a lot of the branded designs were pretty normal and she preferred to find some more creative personal branded items. A good example would be Lu Tingxiao's friend's design. She loved it and felt that it was a lot better than those famous brand designs. She remembered she was just casually praising the brand's designs to him, then the next day her closet was full with clothes from that brand. Ningxi, do you want to go? She invited all the actors from the crew. I'll let everyone know. Ningxi gave her a smile and rejected, I'm sorry, I'm pretty tired today and want to rest earlier, you guys have fun. The excited actress suddenly remembered about the incident between Ningxi and Ningxueluo, so she did not pursue further. All right, you go home and rest well then. After removing her shoes back in her apartment, she immediately fell asleep on her bed. She had barely gotten any sleep the night before when she was with Lu Tingxiao, plus with her fatigue from a whole day of acting, she was beat. At the same time, a lively party had just only started in Ningxueluo's apartment downstairs. To increase her popularity and expand her network, Ningxueluo had put in a lot of effort. This time, she invited all the actors from the crew to her house. The unit she was staying at was the largest among the whole of Regal Riviera Hotel. Half of the space was used for a walk-in closet, which was filled with branded items, and was truly every woman's dream. Most of the people who came were female actresses, naturally interested in the collection of clothes and bags. The first thing everyone asked her was about her walk-in closet. Xueluo, where's your walk-in closet? Quickly bring us there. Yeah. I heard there's a lot of clothes that they don't produce anymore. The kind that are so exclusive, even the prices skyrocketed. Of course it's a must-see. You must visit her walk-in closet to say you've visited her house. As she listened to all the praises, Ningxueluo replied indifferently, the magazines have exaggerated it, it's nothing much really. What exaggeration? It was in the top-selling Fashionista. Ningxueluo gave in, you guys, don't be disappointed when you see the real thing. She led them to her walk-in closet as she spoke. At the end of the corridor, she opened a door and said, here it is. Everyone was amazed when the room opened, Chanel, Hermes, Donna Karan, Prada, Guess, all of them limited editions. Oh, my God! I feel like I'm in heaven. I never want to leave here. I'm really envious. Xueluo, you're so blessed. I heard that your boyfriend collected them for you from all over the world. Ningxueluo looked at the envious expressions from everyone and glowed. She humbly said, I didn't really collect them on purpose. I didn't even realize that they just accumulated to become so much. It was party time after the walk-in closet visit, but no one could forget about it and it was the talk of the town. As the party came to an end, everyone still did not have enough of it, and quite a number of them fawned over Ningxueluo all over again, gushing over her wealth. Suddenly, the actress who was playing Princess Xu, Fangya asked, didn't Ningxi come today? I invited her, but she said she was tired and wanted to get some rest, someone replied. Find new stories on nov/elbin.com. Speaking of which, Glory World Entertainment arranged Ningxi to stay in Regal Riviera Hotel as well, didn't they? I think she's just right above Xueluo's unit. Why don't we visit her place as well? Fangya suggested. Ningxueluo was delighted at the suggestion. If everyone visited Ningxi's place after hers, by comparison they would know that the place that Ningxi stayed at was nothing compared to hers. She faked a troubled expression, but there are so many of us, should we really go? Right, I don't think Ningxi's place is as huge as this. Someone said this on purpose to get on Ningxuelua's good side. Fang Yin knew how badly Ningxuelua wanted everyone to go, so she stood up and said, "Let's just go. It's just upstairs and we're just gonna say hi, it should be fine." The doorbell kept on ringing repeatedly, interrupting Ningxi's slumber. She took out her phone to check the time and realized that it was almost midnight already. Who would look for her at this time of the night? She hoped that it was not something urgent. Ningxi got up quickly and opened the door. She was dumbfounded when she saw who was at her door. Dozens of people stood in front, all of them the actors and crew from the drama team, and leading the posse was Ningxuelua in a gorgeous dress, together with Fang Ye hanging onto her arm eagerly. In her sleepy phase, it took her a few seconds to remember that someone had told her that Ningxuelua was having a party tonight. So, why were all these people here instead of at Ningxuelua's place? Ningxuelua sounded apologetic. "Ningxi, did we wake you up? We're really sorry, we didn't expect you to sleep so early. We're having a party tonight, and since you didn't come, we all missed you. Knowing that you just stay just upstairs, we decided to come by and say hi." Without waiting for Ningxi's reply, Fang Yu went on, "Xuelua, I'm pretty sure Ningxi doesn't mind, right, Ningxi? Everyone, let's go in. Let's not block the entrance." Both of them stepped into the house, followed by everyone else. Find updates on n/v/elben.co/m. Ningxi just stood there, looking upset. Since they had already decided to come in, what else could she say? This Fang Yu was a fence-sitter, who would side whoever had the advantage. When Ningxi had just been signed with Glory World, Fang Yu tried to get on her good side, but Ningxi doubted the sincerity of her intentions, so she ignored her. By the looks of it, she now sided with Ningxuelua. After they entered the house, Fang Yu kept on complaining, Ningxi, why is your place so small? There isn't enough place to stand." Actually, Ningxi's space was not small at all. It was suitable for living and there were just too many of them. The fact that the whole living room was now filled with the unexpected guests made the place look small and narrow. Without bothering to ask for permission, Fang Yu opened up Ningxi's closet. With hesitation she exclaimed, "Ningxi, is this your closet? It's so small." Everyone who was trying to please Ningxuelua played along with Fang Yu. "Yeah, it's really small. Let's not talk about your living room or bedroom, the most important thing for an artiste is their closet. Surely you wouldn't have enough to wear with a closet this small. I was wondering how rich Glory World was, but it's so underwhelming. I could barely live here. Hey guys, don't be so insensitive. Not everyone can stay in houses like Xuelua's." Ningxuelua felt tremendously smug hearing everyone criticizing Ningxi, although she acted kindly and said, "Ningxi's unit is in a good location and it's got a fantastic view." What good can the view do? We don't really stay at home much anyway. As she was speaking, Fang Yu went through Ningxi's clothes that were hanging outside, and said in pity, "Oh God. There's not even anything that's presentable. Isn't this from last year's Chanel line? And this Prada, it's so outdated. Ningxi, you really need to put more effort into this. It doesn't matter how good your acting is because acting skills should not be your priority. The most important thing is the packaging you come in." Ningxi stood beside her closet, realizing what their purpose was of coming here tonight. They were all here to deliberately cause her trouble and laugh at her, weren't they? What Xiaoye said makes sense. Even if I had to go on a diet, I absolutely have to shop for clothes. It's so important. Imagine if I let the media photograph me wearing last season's outfits, how embarrassing would that be? Exactly. When she heard people echoing her sentiments, Fang Yin nodded delightedly. Then she cruelly said to Ning Xuelua beside her, Zuelo, you have so many clothes in your house, why don't you pass Ning Shi a few? Any one of it would be better than these. Ning Shi replied resentfully, no, thanks. Hey Ning Shi, don't reject the offer. We're all a team anyway and we should help one another. You aren't still holding a grudge against Xuelua, are you? Xuelua was just telling us that she has long gotten over it. Ning Shi was speechless. To debate with an idiot such as Fangya was such a painful chore. When she saw that Ning Shi was not saying anything, Fangya pushed further, it's a good thing Xiaowei is still upstairs. Xuelua, why don't you tell her where it is and get her to immediately send some over? Okay, Ning Xuelua nodded and called her assistant on the spot. Within 3 minutes, Xiaowei had brought a bunch of clothes. Panting as she ran over, Sister Xuelua, I've brought over the clothes you asked for. Ning Xuelua looked at the clothes satisfactorily, and then said in a concerned tone, Ning Shi, just accept them. Consider this a gift from me, even though they aren't the best I've got, but at least they're all from this year's latest season. Once Fangya heard that, she widened her eyes and exclaimed, what do you mean they aren't the best? Each piece here probably costs tens of thousands. With Ning Shi's income from shooting the entire drama, she could only afford one of it at most. Exactly. These clothes are all so expensive. Xuelua, you're too generous. Ning Shi, just accept them, all right? You don't need to be too polite. Ning Shi massaged her temples as she started to run out of patience. All she wanted was to just come home for respite and get a night of proper sleep. She could not believe that Ning Xuelua would bring a group of morons over. Had she known, she might as well have stayed at the hotel. Ning Shi, don't be courteous. Come, let me help you put them into your wardrobe. Such precious clothes shouldn't get soiled. Fangya said, while ignoring Ning Shi's displeasure and invading her privacy, as she flung open the wardrobe. As she was about to put the clothes in, she was taken by surprise. Everyone behind her was just as stunned. Diascover dated novels on NOV/E/Lbin.co. An evening dress hung sophisticatedly in the middle of the wardrobe. It oozed dreamy vibes with the elegance of the Arctic light. It was covered in a mosaic of gems akin to a star-strewn sky, and the huge ruby in the middle of the collar stood out. It was a dazzling sight, blinding everyone in its presence. Even Ning Shi herself was stunned. Wasn't this the branded dress that Lu Tingxiao gave her? Before she left that day, she had simply allowed Butler Yuan and Wanwan take over moving the clothes in. She was just wondering where all the clothes had been placed, but who knew that her favorite dress would appear in her wardrobe? Could it possibly have been because Wanwan saw that she really did not have space for too many clothes, that she only left behind her favorite one? The more Ning Shi thought about it, the more she knew it was possible. When she saw everyone's shocked expressions, she was not surprised. The first time she saw the dress, she cried just looking at the spectacular handiwork. She thought it must have cost a ton, but after Lu Tingxiao explained, she found out that this was the original prototype and it was one of a kind. The materials used to create it were actually cheap substitutes, but she thought it was already gorgeous. Everyone got over their shock upon seeing the magnificent dress. Fangya held the clothes in her hands and stood in awe in front of the open wardrobe. She mumbled in shock, how could this be? This is impossible. Everyone else too looked at each other with a mixture of surprise and suspicion. This must be fake. How could Ning Shi own such a high-end apparel? You're joking. This dress is clearly expensive, it may even cost up to hundreds of thousands. Discover NW Chapter SNN0EL by.com. It's so pretty. If only I could wear it once, I would die with no regrets, a girl in the crows exclaimed, unable to hide her admiration. This was when Fang Ye casually held up a part of the dress and said with a condescending tone, at first sight, it does look quite pretty. But if you take a closer look, don't you think that it's pretty plain? The female actress who invited Ningxi earlier added on, I don't think so. It looks high-end, would Taobao sell such dresses? Fang Ye rolled her eyes at her and then looked to Ning Xuelua, intentionally asking, Xuelua, do you recognize the brand of this dress? Ning Xuelua pretended to be in deep thought before she shook her head and said, I haven't seen it before. It doesn't look like the style of any particular luxury brand. When Fang Ye heard this, she was immediately delighted and perked up. Xuelua is very knowledgeable with all the big brands' limited edition items, plus she actually collects them. Even she hasn't seen this before, so if it isn't a random brand's product, then where could it have come from? A flea market? To show that they knew the fashion industry well, everyone else started to echo Fang Ye's words, this lace does look a little too outdated. Even the gems on it feels very cheap. It must be glass. Fang Ye scornfully looked at Ningxi and said, Ningxi, it's okay if the outfit was from last season, but this comes down to the brand. You would actually wear a flea market item like this? I bet that this dress doesn't cost more than $200. As soon as Fang Ye finished her declaration, she unexpectedly threw the dress to the ground. Ningxi's face turned venomous when she saw the dress on the floor. She did not mind Fang Ye messing around with all her other clothes, or that she had to pretend to be okay with it, but this was a dress gifted by Lu Tingxiao, and she felt herself filled with rage. Ningxi immediately walked over, bent down, and picked up the dress. She carefully brushed it with her hand and shot Fang Ye a sharp look. Fang Ye did not know what was happening, but she did feel fearful of the antagonizing look Ningxi gave her. She took a few steps back and then laughed mockingly, Ningxi, do you have to exaggerate? It's only a $200 flea item, do you have to be this tensed? When she saw that Ningxi's reaction, Ning Xuelua cheered up again. She looked at Fang Ye and said, Xiaoye, don't say that. This dress does look quite nice, Ningxi must like it very much. Of course she would be upset. How can she not like all the high-end brands, but fancy this sort of rubbish? Even if she was dirt poor, her taste can't be that low, can it? Fang Ye proclaimed fearlessly, emboldened by Ning Xuelua's prodding. It was at this very moment that someone from the crowd quickly walked up to Ningxi and said, Wait, this dress, why does it look so familiar? The person who spoke was the artiste, Guan Xiaqi, who had previously substituted Jia Qingqing's third female musketeer role, and was from the same company as Ningxi. Because she had only joined the team for a short while, Ningxi had only bumped into her once or twice, and they were just hi-bye acquaintances. As soon as Guan Xiaqi said that, she walked over to take a closer look of the dress. Fang Ye had on a look of disdain and said, It's just a cheap dress, what's there to see? Guan Xiaqi did not bother with Fang Ye as she looked at the dress for a long while, then she saw that the collar had a humble and simple embossed pattern of the brand GE. She solemnly looked up to Ningxi and said, If I'm seeing correctly, this dress is a creation of fashion designer genius, Gabriel Elvis. He became instantly famous because years ago, the award-winning Joshua Larson wore his design when he received a prize at the Oscars. Later, the entire entertainment scene wanted a piece of Elvis's work for themselves. Ningxi, this dress of yours should be the one that Elvis donated for bidding at a charity auction 5 years ago. It was one of his finest works, and was auctioned off at an astronomical price. Ningxi, I'm right, am I not? What? Guan Xiaqi had suddenly blurted out a historical explanation of the dress, yet Ningxi did not understand a single word of it. Fang Ye was first stunned, then she started to laugh hysterically, haha, this too funny. Why would a dress that was auctioned off at an astronomical price appear here? Guan Xiaqi, you can't just spout nonsense to help Ningxi just because you're both from the same company. Pfft, Guan Xiaqi actually said that. Who is the Elvis she's talking about? I've never even heard of him. You're telling lies now, aren't you? Naturally, no one believed her. Some of the crowd asked Guan Xiaoqi how to spell the designer's name and looked him up online on the spot. Alas, they really did find the historical dress. There really is such a designer. This designer is really freaking awesome. His fame was really short-lived, however, he suddenly disappeared midway. That's why not many of us who came after know about him. In fact, look at this related photo. The dress in the image is exactly the same as Ning Shi's. Fang Yu briefly skimmed and was slightly startled by the information. Then, she continued dismissively, this must be a cheap imitation of the real deal. You're right, this dress has been auctioned off privately, so why would it appear here? The more I think about it, the more it seems impossible. Dieskouver dated novels on NOV/E/Lbin.co. It's the same dress, I'm sure of it. Guan Xiaoqi said with a tone that was firm and confident, even looking at Ningxi to seek for confirmation. Ningxi was dumbfounded herself, and had nothing to say in return. After all, wasn't this a worthless model? Fang Yu laughed uncontrollably, this is too funny. If this dress is the real deal, I'll crawl out of here on my hands and knees. I'll take your word for it. Guan Xiaoqi grunted, then she turned to everyone and said, actually, to determine the authenticity of this dress is easy. Elvis's design's most prominent feature is the embellishment of gems, with every one of the gems being authentic. If you don't believe me, then come examine it for yourself. Oh, wait, don't bother coming over if you're going to pretend to know things when you don't. Guan Xiaoqi, what are you trying to say? Fang Yu was so angry that she turned red. If the shoe fits, wear it. Those who were knowledgeable in the industry would definitely take interest in the dress. Thus, as soon as they heard Guan Xiaoqi say so, some came forward from the crowd. How about I take a look? A quiet-looking girl from the back made her way to the front. When everyone saw who she was, their eyes lit up. Yes, yes. Fei Fei, you take a look. You're an expert. Fei Fei is a premium jewelry appraiser. The last time I was almost scammed, she helped me verify the items. If it's Fei Fei who's examining, there definitely won't be a problem. Fang Yu too indicated that she had no comments, and gloated at Guan Xiaoqi and Ningxi, waiting to take pleasure in their mishaps. Now that we have an expert with us, I'll see how your story holds up. Fei Fei started to study the gems carefully. Because there were so many of them, she spent quite a long time on it. Time passed by. Everyone stared at Fei Fei and waited, including the confused Ningxi. She wanted to tell them the truth just now, but it was already too late. Fei Fei had already started verifying the crystals. If she spoke up now, she would be misunderstood as trying to save her face, so she kept her mouth shut. After a while, Fei Fei took a deep breath, then she looked at everyone and said, I'm sorry, guys, there are just too many gems on this and I couldn't verify them all, but all the ones that I've checked are real. Ningxi's expression changed, everyone else was dumbfounded as well. That's impossible. How could it be? All test NOVL on novelben/.cm. But Fei Fei can't be wrong. Since Fang Yu expected to see Ningxi make a fool out of herself, she felt humiliated. Fei Fei, you're mistaken. How could this be real? They look just like glass. Others did not believe it as well, and chimed in, Fei Fei, check properly again. The gems look cheap. Yeah, try looking again. We know that you're a professional, but this is impossible. Facing everyone's doubts, Fei Fei blinked innocently and assured everyone, I might be mistaken if it was just one, but there are so many of them. I couldn't possibly have mistaken all of them, right? All of these gems are real. However doubtful they were, they had to trust Fei Fei's confidence. No one spoke a word, especially the people who had been mocking Ningxi for being cheap. They hid themselves in a corner and kept silent. Even though she owned the dress herself, Ningxi was the most shocked among them all. All of them are real? What happened to, it's not worth much, it's just a gift from a friend? Lu Tingxiao lied to her. And she had actually believed it. Guan Xiaoqi looked at Fang Ye, laughing at her in a sarcastic tone. Hee hee, I remember someone saying if the dress is real, she's going to crawl out of here? Fang Ye was frustrated, so what if it's real? This must be something rented by her company, it's not even hers, what's so great about it? Some of them started mumbling, it's a fact that Ningxi has bad taste in clothing and wears outdated clothes. Right, we're just trying to help. Fang Ye followed the flow and pushed all the clothes into Ningxi's arms. Ningxi, you should just keep these. Even if that dress is gorgeous, it's more of just a decoration, you don't even know if you'll ever have a chance to wear it. These sort of dresses were usually worn at award ceremonies and for important events, so it was clear that Fang Ye was cursing her to never be popular. Ning Xuelua added on, Ningxi, please keep these clothes, take it as a token of apology from the misunderstanding caused by my assistant the last time. Ningxi, since Xuelua put it this way, just accept it. You wouldn't think that they are cheap, would you? Just take a look at it, all of these clothes are quite expensive, and much better than your outdated ones. Where else can you find such a good deal? Take them. Ningxi stuck to her principle of not arguing with silly people. Getting angry at a bunch of idiots would just make herself unhappy, so she kept herself composed and just watched on as everyone made a fool out of themselves. Ning Xuelua and her gang were confused by her reaction, wondering if they had said something wrong. Suddenly, a girl by the dressing table screamed, "Ah! What now?" Ningxi looked over. Ningxi, the furniture in your house is moving. I got scared. The girl was shocked and looked at the switched candle decoration. What happened was the mechanism had been triggered and a metal creaking was heard. Everyone's curiosity quickly turned to amazement. The wall started to open up and a brief white light came through, just like a slow-motion scene from a movie. The room fell so silent with the revelation that one could only hear the sound of the air conditioner. No one said anything. Everyone just stared behind the wall, dumbfounded. Stared at that spectacular and huge walk-in closet. The walk-in closet had a beautiful crystal chandelier hanging from the ceiling and was filled with gorgeous dresses, blinding everyone. Fang Ye was too shocked and dropped the clothes that she was going to hand over to Ningxi, her jaw gaping open, unable to find the words to say anything. Most of them had the same reaction. Get the latest chapters on n/velbin.com. Am I dreaming? Ningxi, your house has a hidden room. Wow. My eyes are almost blinded by the closet's luxuriousness. Ningxi, you should have let us visit your huge walk-in closet. Ningxi was speechless. At least, she should have known of this secret compartment existing. Finally, she knew where all the clothes went. If it was not for this incident today, she would probably have never known about the hidden closet. Ningxi buried her face in her hands, not knowing what to say about Lu Tingxiao. How did he do it? With such an academic, charismatic and confident tone, saying all those odd things and lying to her? As everyone checked out the dresses in the hidden closet, they found out all the dresses in the walk-in closet were from the same designer, Gabriel Elvis. Some of them looked through the labels, and all of them were initialed GE. It was not even about money anymore. GE's designer had vanished shortly after his debut, so the remaining pieces from the designer were extremely limited, and one would not get it easily even with money. And now, this entire room full of such a surprise? Of course everyone was shocked by this huge reveal. Some of them even asked Fei Fei in secret, Fei, all of them inside, are they real? As surprised as Fei Fei was, she nodded, I did have a look and they are real. Anyone who knows slightly more about gems would know that the authentic jewelry's unique shine can be distinguished easily from the fake ones. Oh my god, this is too shocking. Did Glory World prepare all these for Ningxi? Glory World is so willing to spend on her. Staying in a Regal Riveria unit with the best view is already amazing, now what more with a closet that's bigger than someone's house? They really think highly of Ningxi. Everyone present knew who this someone was. Some of them who did not really like Ning Xuelua started to speak up, Ningxi really has class. All of them are from the legendary brand GE. Unlike Ning Xuelua's closet, which looks like in beginner's closet. She just bought whatever brand that's mainstream. Yet she still kept on forcing Ningxi to take her clothes. Ningxi probably doesn't even care. I bet she was trying to make Ningxi look bad. Too bad, TSK, if they had gotten along, there wouldn't be any hard feelings now. Ning Xuelua did not expect this. The moment she asked Ningxi to receive her clothes still lingered in her mind, and now this huge walk-in closet. She was still frozen in front of Ningxi's walk-in closet, listening to all the whispering. Her face felt hot, as if she had just been slapped. Damn it! It was all Fang Ye's fault. Why had she suddenly suggested everyone to visit Ningxi's place? If they had not come here, her plan tonight would have been perfect. Great, now everything was ruined. Just as she was trying to save her image, it was crumbled again. Fang Ye did not expect things to turn out this way, and she looked mean in front of everyone. She got frustrated and scolded Ningxi, you should have just said so if you didn't need these clothes. Was it fun looking at us running about for you? Try to be more grateful. Ningxi folded her hands and leaned on the door, her eyebrows raised, are you sure I didn't mention it? It just seemed that someone couldn't understand the human language. You. She was speechless for a while then mumbled jealously, no matter how many pretty things you have, they aren't yours. All west ch.rs on n.o/vi/n/. Ning Xuelua took a few deep breaths to suppress her emotions, then she tried to act generous and said, let it be, Xiaoya, we were just trying to help and not expecting anything in return, it's great that she doesn't need my clothes. Ningxi, if you were to change your mind, let me know anytime. Her words clearly tried to imply that her company might be supporting her now, but they could also stop doing so one day. The only person in the room who could still think rationally was probably Guan Xiaoqi. Sure, she was shocked for a while, but she quickly recovered and gloated over Ning Xuelua and Fang Ye, watching the two clowns make a fool of themselves. It was worth the trip tonight. What a great show! I'm tired now. Time to go home and sleep. Then she left. People started leaving following Guan Xiaoqi's departure, especially those who had mocked Ningxi. Finally, everyone left. Ningxi was too tired to think, so she just slid into her bed and slept. Late at night, Ning Xuelua's apartment. Changli rushed over in the dead of the night, only to find the floor full of torn-up clothes. My dear grandaunt, who's offended you now? Ning Xuelua fiercely used scissors to cut up a pile of clothes, and then shouted ferociously, who else? Changli had already understood the situation from her assistant's update. She tidied up the place as she advised, Xuelua, I didn't want to say anything, but you really were too impulsive this time. You've been patient for so long, why couldn't you have avoided this? Why did you have to go start a fire for yourself? Haven't I been patient for long enough? Tonight, with the situation we were in, I thought. She thought that nothing would go wrong. Who knew? Chang Li softened her tone and said, I understand how you feel, but there is no point in satisfying your short-term desires. Ningxi doesn't even need you to do anything at this point. Someone would surely come for her. Ning Xuelua immediately turned to her and asked, Who are you referring to? Chang Li smirked and reminded her, Don't forget, Glory World Entertainment still has Su Yimo. Ningxi is in the limelight so much these days. Do you think Su Yimo would be okay with that? Even someone as popular as Ling Manyun was defeated by her, so who is Ningxi in comparison? Ning Xuelua's eyes lightened up when she heard this. Su Yimo, how did I not think of her? That's right. Su Yimo has shady intimate relations with Lu Group's high-level administrators. With such a background, she's not one to easily compete with. Think about it, with her arrogant personality, how could she stand Ningxi's existence if Ningxi threatened her status? She would definitely hear about what happened tonight very soon. How do you think she would feel when she does? Ning Xuelua thought carefully, then she smugly said, You make so much sense. When she saw that she finally managed to change Ning Xuelua's mind, Chang Li breathed a sigh of relief and continued to analyze, now we can create relations with Su Yimo's side. Even though you were previously always against her, it's not the same anymore now. An enemy's enemy is a friend. Don't be anxious, I'll try to hear her out first, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Ning Xuelua tossed the scissors and clothes in her hand onto the floor, then got up and started to walk back and forth. Then, she stopped and said, I heard she likes emerald jades. Someone gave my father a pair of exquisite jade decorative items before, you go get it to present it to her. If there's anything you need, just let me know, I'll think of something. Okay, no problem, Chang Li quickly replied. Then she asked, Right, have you thought about the suggestion I mentioned to you the last time? You mean the engagement? Yeah, you have been low-key for too long, you need something juicy to restore your popularity and image. All this while, everyone's most envious of the fact that you're with Su Yan, so this is the best time to get engaged. Many headlines will feature you. I've already planned a series of follow-ups that can not only increase your popularity to new heights, but kick Ningxi in the guts too. Chang Li said, a little too excitedly. At the mention of Su Yan, Ning Xuelua frowned, You know, because of what happened, Su Yan has been critical of me. I need some time, and besides, he really has been too busy recently. No worries, there's no hurry. Work is important. Your Su Yan is pretty amazing. If he seals this deal, the Su family will definitely expand into the Europe market and earn tenfold for the whole company. The finance channels and magazines have been raving about him recently. Ning Xuelua was radiant as she responded with arrogance, Of course, he's my man. You don't worry, I'll get it done. Chang Li replied, That's good then. Let's work on it separately. The next morning. With such a deep sleep, Ningxi slept until she woke up naturally. She absent-mindedly recalled last night's incident and almost thought she had dreamt it up. That was, until she dragged her feet in her slippers and walked to the closet. She had not closed the hidden room last night, leaving it open just like that, entering her view with no reservations. Ningxi was speechless. Turns out that it had not been a dream after all. Initially, she really thought it was worthless, hence she accepted it. But what should she do now? And this closet? Ningxi's head was still hurting when suddenly her phone rang. It was Ling Zhizhi. Hello, Sister Zhizhi? You're on holiday today, right? Are you free now? If you have nothing on, come drop by the company for a while. Nothing much on. I'll be there right away. Ningxi got ready and rushed to the office. At the same time, at Glory World Entertainment, Ling Zhizhi's office. Geez. Why do I keep losing at everything I play? Jiang Mai lay on the sofa opposite the desk and irritatedly tossed the game console in his hand. Where's Ning Shi? What time is she actually coming? In the midst of processing documents, Ling Zhizhi replied without even lifting her head up, already on the way. Jiang Mai sat up and squinted his eyes thoughtfully at the calm woman at her desk. He was not sure why, but suddenly his heart was filled with dissatisfaction. Ling Zhizhi. There's no one else here, stop pretending to be so distant. Ling Zhizhi shot him a brief look and ignored him. Annoyed by her attitude, Jiang Mai became even angrier, then he suddenly laughed sarcastically. Pfft, what was it you told Ningxi again the last time? That you and I are innocently just artiste and ex-manager? You're really good at acting, why don't you just be an actor? Ling Zhizhi finally looked up and stared straight at him, replying him with 3 words, was I wrong? Jiang Mai was just about to say something when Ling Zhizhi replied with a question, or, do you prefer that I tell Ningxi a different truth? He suddenly reddened and stood up instantly. You. Visit no, v, 3lb/n. cm for new OVL. Outside the door, someone knocked. Jiang Mai clammed up and went to open the door. He irritatedly complained to the person outside the door, you're so damn slow. I've already died a few times in the game. Ningxi looked at him scornfully and replied, are you sure your dying a few times has anything to do with my speed of reaching here? Enough with the nonsense, let's get down to business. When we're done talking, I still need to go get my latest equipment. You only know how to play games. I think you should just get married to your game console in the future. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him, then walked in and sweetly greeted Ling Zhizhi, Sister Zhizhi, I'm here. As always, she changed her expressions so quickly that Jiang Mai was dumbfounded. When she saw Ningxi, Ling Zhizhi's face softened, sit. Today, I've called you over to tell you some good news. Good news? What good news? Ningxi immediately perked up. I've just accepted a job on your behalf to be a spokesperson. Ningxi was giddy with excitement, really? I can be a spokesperson? But I still have a drama not released yet. Ling Zhizhi explained, you are popular enough. It's just that most companies like to wait and see, so this opportunity is considered a lucky coincidence. After the news of you and Jiang Mai's all-night gaming was photographed by a netizen, the gaming company which owns the game that you guys played got in touch with me. We have been negotiating and we have just sealed the deal yesterday. She did not expect for her first endorsement job to happen this way, and she was shocked. What, this works? Jiang Mai cheekily replied her, why not? You ought to be grateful to me. If it were not for me, you wouldn't have gotten this. Fine, fine, all credit to you. Ling Zhizhi continued with the specific details. The game company requested for you and Jiang Mai together, and because you're still new, your endorsement fee isn't much, only $1 million, so in the end you'd get about $300,000. 300,000? That much? She had never really paid attention to her profit sharing on the contract before. Usually for newcomers it was around 20% profit, and the fact that she was getting around 40% was a very good deal from the company. The devil really had helped her out on this. Jiang Mai snorted disrespectfully, useless. You're placated with just 300,000? Then how much are you getting? Ningxi asked out of curiosity. Not much, just 3 million. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even think about an endorsement this cheap. Ningxi gritted her teeth, damn it, are you asking for a punch to your face? Ling Zhizhi handed over the contract to each of them, I've only gathered you here for this. Here is the contract, look through it, and if there aren't any problems, then put your signature in. Jiang Mai signed it without even looking through the contents. Ning Shi quickly skimmed through and signed it as well. Ling Zhizhi checked through the documents and nodded at them. All right, you guys can leave now, just leave the rest to me. Since the both of you are taking the same endorsement, I've discussed with Bro Ming and I'll now be handling this endorsement. I will inform you too about the related arrangements later on. Okay, thanks Sis Zhizhi. Noted. After leaving the office, Jiang Mai hesitated for a few moments, but still asked anyway, did something happen the other day when you took a full day of leave? Something happened, but not really. Anyway, it's all good now. It has something to do with Lu Tingxiao again, right? His mouth twitched a little, even my mother heard about it. Ning Shi looked blank in the eye. Ah? Your mother? What did she hear? She says my grandmother, who is Lu Tingxiao's mother, has been talking to her about arranging a blind date for Lu Tingxiao. They seem to be busy picking candidates recently. My mother cancelled all her plans and has been helping the old madam pick her daughter-in-law. Oh. Jiang Mai stared at her. That's all you have to say, just oh? Ning Shi stared back. What else can I do? Be in the way and do nothing? Jiang Mai gave her an annoyed look. As the both of them were talking, a passionate voice interrupted, Xiao Yi. They both looked up and saw two women walking towards them. One of them was Zhao Meixin, who wore a gorgeous outfit, and the lady who called out to Jiang Mai was wearing a light purple long dress from Chanel's latest fall season. She looked very elegant in that outfit, and in her eyes there was a great sense of pride. Su Yimo. The face that everyone knew, so naturally Ning Shi recognized her almost instantly. Follow the latest novels n/velbin.com. Speaking of which, while she had signed her contract with Glory World for quite a long time, this was the first time that she met her. Xiao Yi, it's been some time since I last saw you in the company. Here for business? Su Yimo asked concernedly, in a tone of seniority. Jiang Mai pulled an annoyed face and simply replied her, MMM. The entertainment circle was a place where qualification mattered a lot, and since she was a senior, Ning Shi as her junior had to greet her. Hello, senior. Su Yimo acted like she did not notice anything, and kept on talking to Jiang Mai without even glancing at her. Xiao Yi, I heard that you took on a game endorsement? Ning Shi did what she should, and since Su Yimo chose to ignore her, there was no reason to continue pestering. What about it? Su Yimo raised her eyebrows. Why are you suddenly interested in endorsing a game? Just helping out my junior over here. Su Yimo suddenly put on a serious face after hearing what he said. Xiao Yi, I don't know what your manager is thinking, but in your current position, taking an endorsement like this and working with people of that level will really affect your image. I hope that you can reconsider your decision. Jiang Mai could not stand it anymore, and faked a laugh. Haha, Miss Su, you're a bit too controlling, aren't you? And next time please call me Jiang Muyi, not Xiao Yi. Su Yimo did not look very happy. Xiao Yi, I know you don't like people controlling you, but it's for your own good. Seeing how awkward the atmosphere was getting, Zhao Meixin spoke up. Yimo is the person to go to regarding endorsements. She has just sealed herself the main endorsement of Chanel in the central region, and the Lu Corporation is looking to continue her contract as well. Ah, she's been real busy. Xiao Yi, I've been through this before and I think you really should listen to me. I'll take my leave first for now, talk to you again sometime. She continued to ignore Ning Shi as she just nodded coldly at Jiang Mai and left. Most up-to-date NVELs are published on n0velbn.co/m. Once they left, Jiang Mai exploded on the spot. What the heck? Who's Xiao Yi? Xiao Yi is not for her to use. She's even daring enough to meddle with my business. She really thinks that she's my aunt now. If it weren't for her saving little treasure before, I'd have fallen out with her already. Ning Xiaoxi, Go and bite her to death. Ningxi was speechless. Can you please not make it sound like I'm a dog? Jiang Mai started prattling on. Ningxi, you don't know the least of it. Uncle has never mentioned to Su Yimo that she saved little treasure. He just casually ordered people to give her a boost in her career. She just thought so highly of herself, always assuming that my uncle was head over heels for her and hence backed her up. She almost self-declared herself as Mrs. Liu. The tone that she uses to talk to me every time is disgusting. Ningxi looked at the direction Su Yimo walked towards. As long as she didn't do any harm to me, I won't do anything either. But seeing her attitude, it's near impossible to keep peace with her, and we are bound to clash heads one day. Jiang Mai quickly replied, don't back down. Fight for it. I'm your strongest backup shield. I'd rather you become my aunt than her. Thanks. In the car. Zhao Meixin carefully took out an exquisite gift from the back seat. Yimo, this was sent by Ning Xueluo's manager this morning. Ning Xueluo is against Ningxi now because of that incident previously. Now that they are suddenly trying to get on our good side, I suppose they probably want to collaborate. Su Yimo picked up the gift box, glanced at it and said in a tone of disdain, she wants to collaborate with me? Is she worthy? She had such a noble man protecting her and backing her up, she did not need to work with anyone else. Zhao Meixin knew what went through her mind and continued to persuade her, worthy or not, what's important isn't Ning Xueluo, it's the influence behind her. She has the Ning family backing her up, and her boyfriend is Su Yan, so her power is not to be underestimated. You know that the Su family has been getting all the limelight in the Imperial, and everyone is trying to get on their good side. This is a really great chance now, there's nothing to lose by doing her a favor. While everyone in the entertainment scene assumed that Su Yimo was in an ambiguous relationship with someone important in the Lu Corporation, Zhao Meixin had been by Su Yimo's side every day, and she had never seen her getting close to anyone from the Lu Corporation in private. Zhao Meixin actually felt insecure, but she did not want to mention this in front of Su Yimo. She would surely get a good scolding from her. Su Yimo would never tolerate anyone doubting her relationship with Lu Tingxiao. Hearing about the influence behind the Ning family and Su family, Su Yimo's expression changed slightly. Zhao Meixin quickly continued, right, Yimo, did you hear about what happened last night? What happened? Su Yimo asked. Zhao Meixin secretly spoke into her ear, last night, Ning Xueluo had a party at her house, and Ningxi stayed right above her, so I bet Ning Xueluo tried to bring a bunch of people over to humiliate her, but... Zhao Meixin described the event with her animated expressions, and was very impressed, a walk-in closet that big. And all of them were GE-branded clothes. Zhao Meixin did not explicitly mention it, but Glory World had not given even Su Yimo such exclusive treatment. Su Yimo frowned, GE? Yeah, the clothes designed by Gabriel Elvis. You liked that brand as well, didn't you? For the opening ceremony the last time, you mentioned that you wanted this brand, but I couldn't get you anything. She actually found a piece, but she got outbid by someone else, and she was scolded pretty badly by Su Yimo, which left a deep impression on her. LA test NOVLS on, N, vel/. At this point, as someone who could not allow anyone to surpass her at anything, Su Yimo's expression darkened, she coldly said, it's just something Glory World does for a shiny newbie, just a temporary limelight. What else can she do? Nevertheless, making one more friend wouldn't do me any harm, just do whatever you need with Ning Xueluo's side. All right, leave it to me. At Lu family residence. As usual, Little Treasure was daydreaming on the windowsill. Looking outside the window, he took out his phone and sent his father a text message, Mississippi. He was missing Auntie Xiaoxi, even though they had just met not too long ago. At the Lu Corporation office, the man glanced at his phone, then he texted a few words back to his son, I miss her too. Little Treasure quickly replied with a question mark to ask him how he could see Auntie Xiaoxi again. Lu Tingxiao looked outside his window, thought about it, then replied his son's message. After Little Treasure read his reply, he quickly climbed down from the chair and ran towards the living room. In the living room, Lu Chongshan was talking to Yan Rui. When they saw Little Treasure running to them, they immediately hid all the pictures and information of the ladies that were strewn on the coffee table, then looked at their grandson with a smile. Little Treasure, come to Grandma. What's the matter? Are you hungry? What do you want to eat? Let Grandpa cook something up for you. Both grandparents were gentle and kind, afraid of frightening Little Treasure. You must understand that the little bun could initially only live in isolation and he could not share the same space with them at all. Now that he could live with them, it was already a blessing beyond comparison for them. Little Treasure shook his head, took off his shoes, and climbed onto the sofa. He then started to use his little hands on his grandmother's shoulders and massaged with all his might. Yan Rui was overjoyed and surprised by this sudden display of affection. Hey, my dearest baby. Are you giving your grandma a massage now? Little Treasure nodded and became even harder at work. Lu Chongshan watched from the side jealously and mumbled, "It looks like Little Treasure prefers Grandma, huh? Was it because of the way he was usually too strict? It must be, especially his attitude towards that woman, it was really unfriendly." When Little Treasure saw that, did he hate him? What should I do now? The more Lu Chongshan thought about it, the more he became worried, and the more he was angry. He was only doing this for Little Treasure and for the family. At last, he had to be the bad guy. Everyone complained about him, but above all, even Little Treasure did not like him anymore. As Lu Chongshan mulled sadly over this, Little Treasure finished massaging his grandmother and immediately went to his grandfather and started to massage him too. Those soft little hands could really melt anyone's heart. Check out LTSTVL on novl/bin.cm. The cold-hearted Lu Chongshan unexpectedly almost teared up on the spot. Good boy, Little Treasure, it's the thought that counts. Don't tire yourself out. Lu Chongshan then fell silent, sighed and asked, Little Treasure, is there something you want Grandpa's help with? Little Treasure nodded earnestly. Lu Chongshan asked again, you want to see Auntie Xiaoxi, don't you? Little Treasure nodded his head profusely, as he looked at his grandfather with hopeful and uncertain eyes. The look that he gave Lu Chongshan made his heart soften into a mess. Okay, Grandpa will let you. Later, I will get someone to invite her over, okay? Little Treasure's eyes immediately brightened as he happily kissed on his grandfather's cheek, then ran back to his room feeling satisfied. Yan Rui watched her husband who was speechlessly smiling like an idiot and said, who was the one that said I had no principles or bottom line before this? Where are your principles now? Where's your bottom line? Has it all gone just because your grandson gave you a shoulder massage? With just a little kiss from your grandson, you'd promise him anything now? Lu Chongsan cleared his throat and restored his serious expression. What nonsense are you spewing? I'm doing this for Little Treasure's physical and emotional health. Besides, there's nothing wrong in letting that woman come over to accompany Little Treasure. I will obviously get someone to keep an eye on her. When Lu Chongshan finished, he called over butler Xing Wu. Master, do you have any orders? Go make a call now and let that woman come over to accompany Little Treasure. Lu Chongshan thought for a while then added, just say that Little Treasure is alone at home. Later, Madam and I will find an excuse to leave. We'll let her be alone with him. Master, what you're trying to say is, put more surveillance monitors in the house. Okay, understood. Xing Wu nodded and left. Yan Rui frowned when she heard what her husband said to the butler. Maybe this isn't such a good idea. Lu Chongshan only replied carelessly, why would it be a bad idea? I would like to see what's so different about her. Don't you want to find out as well if that woman is genuine towards Little Treasure or not? Yen Rui hesitated at first, but she agreed in the end for Little Treasure's sake. Don't let Tingxiao know, or else he's going to get angry again. I think he's been the victim of a spell by that woman. Wait till we choose the candidates. We'll let him go on a blind date immediately. I don't believe that with so many brilliant girls out there, none can compare to her. After she left the company, Ningxi went straight home to her apartment. As she was laying on her bed browsing entertainment news, she got an unknown call. She picked it up suspiciously. Hello? An uptight male voice was heard from the other end of the phone. Hello, how do you do? Is this Miss Ningxi? Yes, and you are? Ningxi asked. I'm Mr. Lu's butler, Xingwu. Today, Master and Madam are out on errands, the little master is alone at home. I wonder if Miss Ningxi would be free to come over? Ningxi sat up immediately and replied, yes. I'm free. I'll be there right away. After she hung up, Ningxi quickly ransacked her wardrobe and almost tossed out all of her clothes, not knowing which one to wear. The way she acted was even more exaggerated than going to meet a boyfriend. Alas, she still chose a set of outfit style that she and Little Treasure liked. A fashionable one with the right vintage touch. Even though the designer was not someone famous, Ningxi continued to be a loyal fan of his. She usually wore clothes as such, not expensive luxury pieces, unless it was for certain occasions. No matter the brand, she wore what she liked. When she reached the old residence, a 30-odd-years-old butler led her into the main residence. Just as Ningxi walked in, a little tornado rushed towards her immediately and went straight to softly embrace her. Baby! Ningxi immediately bent over to hug the little bun. She wanted to kiss him as she always did, but since there were others around, she held herself back. When he did not receive Auntie Xiaoxi's kiss, the little bun immediately looked down, disappointed. Auntie Xiaoxi did not kiss him this time. Was it because he had not done well? Was it because she did not like him anymore? Was it because there were other kids whom she preferred now? Miss Ningxi, I shall make a move first. If you need anything, please ring the bell for me. Ningxi nodded. All right, thank you, Butler Xing. Xingwu took a bow, and then left. After Xingwu left, Ningxi very quickly noticed the little guy's unhappiness. She laughed and brushed the little bun's nose, then kissed on both of his cheeks. My baby Little Treasure, Auntie misses you so much. The little bun immediately lightened up, with pursed lips and his face slightly reddish. It was as if a flower had bloomed from his face. Auntie Xiaoxi still liked me. The little bun thought for a while, then started to seriously compose a very complete reply to Ningxi. Little Treasure misses Auntie Xiaoxi too. Ningxi was touched, then she saw Little Treasure quickly added on another sentence, Father too. Ningxi did not expect Little Treasure to write that at all. She could not help but be stunned and felt her cheeks heat up. Little Treasure actually wrote this himself. Something weird was going on. Before this, Little Treasure would never mention others when he talked to her. Good boy. Even though Ningxi was slightly suspicious, she did not give it much thought. She touched the little bun's head and led him to sit on the sofa. Geht the Testfels on no/v/Elben. C/om. At the same time, in the courtyard surveillance room, Lu Chongshan and Yen Rui watched the surveillance footage with full focus. At the same time, in the courtyard surveillance room, Lu Chongshan and Yen Rui watched the surveillance footage with full focus. Yen Rui's initially tightened expression softened when she saw Ningxi and Little Treasure's heartwarming interactions, and the 2 sentences that Little Treasure wrote. She laughed helplessly. Ting Xiao definitely taught him that. Lu Chongshan scoffed and did not say anything as he continued to watch the monitor closely. It was not just to watch her, but most importantly, he had to know the reason why this woman could make Little Treasure so obedient. Yet, Lu Chongshan was destined to be disappointed. Because the truth was, Ningxi and Little Treasure's method of interaction was ultimately simple. Simply put, they both did their own thing. Little Treasure was a child who was very good at solidarity. He just needed Ningxi to be by his side, which was more than enough. As always, the little bun was enjoying solving his Sudoku puzzles while Ningxi lay on the sofa to browse the entertainment news. Akin to petting a kitty cat, her palm gently patted the little bun's head. Sometimes when she was too distracted with her reading and forgot to pat him, the little bun would look up, as if to ask for pats. Then, Ningxi would realize and quickly compensate with more rigorous petting. Lu Chongshan and Yen Rui sat in front of the surveillance monitors and watched for a long time, yet they could not figure out any special tricks. 7 sit envelb/n. C/m for L test vels. Both were just enjoying doing their own thing, there were close to no interactions. However, the kind of heartwarming and intimate interaction between the both of them could be felt even through the monitor. Yen Rui exclaimed, "Even though this girl did not do anything, I can feel that as long as she is beside Little Treasure, there is a sort of spark, and he acts like any normal child." Lu Chongshan was not blind and he could see this too, but he did not want to admit it. Instead, he replied, "What are you rushing for? Keep watching. I don't believe that she won't reveal any flaws at all." Little Treasure definitely only liked her so much because she tolerated him with no bottom line. She just pleased him as he wished. He definitely would not tolerate her spoiling Little Treasure like a honey-coated poison. Later I will let Ting Xiao see this for himself, so he knows what kind of woman he has chosen, he thought. Ningxi read the news for a while, then she put down her phone, rested her chin on her palm and stared at the little bun. As compared to her phone, the little bun was definitely more entertaining. When the little bun felt Auntie Xiaoxi's eyes on him, he suspiciously looked up and blinked at her. In Ningxi's head flashed an idea. "Baby, let's not play this anymore. Come, let me teach you something fun." The little bun nodded obediently and let Ningxi lead him into the courtyard. In front of the surveillance monitors, Lu Chongshan and Yen Rui anxiously straightened up when they saw that Ningxi was finally doing something different. They wanted to see what she was up to. Lu Chongshan's face darkened. "Wait for it, she's going to reveal her true colors very soon." Yen Rui nodded and watched the surveillance closely. Ningxi led Little Treasure to the courtyard's empty field, then she said with a satisfied tone, "Let's do it here." Then, Ningxi bent over to gently tell the little bun, "Baby, you're usually too quiet, and you exercise too little. This is not good for your body. Of course, too much of exercise is bad too, and not too suitable for your little self. So, Auntie will now teach you the 5 animal play Qigong. If you persevere for a long time, your body will be very healthy. Wanna learn?" While Little Treasure did not look like he fully understood her, he nodded without any doubt. Ningxi cleared her throat and started explaining, "The 5 animal play Qigong is separated into 5 different plays: bear, tiger, deer, monkey, and bird. Each of them has a different effect on its own, and we'll start learning one by one. Firstly is the bear play. This set of actions has an effect of regulating your spleen and stomach." Observing this from the control room, Lu Chongshan was surprised. This little girl, she even knows the 5 animal play Qigong? 5 animal play Qigong? Isn't that the set of aerobics you've been trying to teach Little Treasure? Yen Rui asked. Lu Chongshan nodded, saying unhappily, "Even if that little girl really knows how to do it, she must be half-baked in it. She had better not teach Little Treasure the wrong thing." This 5-animal play Qigong was passed down by the legendary healer Hua Tuo, and it is very beneficial to those who practice it, but the motions must be correct for the effects to take place. I've been trying to teach Little Treasure, but Little Treasure did not even interact with him, much less learn anything from him. Yen Rui got a bit worried as well, and she voiced out her concern, let's get someone to stop them. It'd be bad if we let her teach something half-baked. Lu Chongshan nodded in agreement, I'll get Xingwu to go over now. Daiscover dated novels on NOV/E/Lbin.co. He grabbed the walkie-talkie and pushed the talking button, hey, Xingwu. Master, I'm here, what's your order? Get over to. Lu Chongshan stopped halfway, shocked when he looked at the monitor screen. Master? Master? Lu Chongshan was still staring at the screen when he just told him, never mind, it's nothing already. He cut off the walkie-talkie. What happened? Yen Rui asked, not understanding. Lu Chongshan coughed softly, with an unnatural expression, let her teach him. It was Yen Rui's turn to be shocked, and she asked in surprise, you mean, she is teaching it well? Lu Chongshan watched the girl on the screen and vaguely answered, it was okay. Yen Rui stared at her husband. Okay? Was it okay or was it great? She knew that with her husband's personality, even if it was just a little flawed, he would never have let the girl teach Little Treasure. Under their supervision, Ningxi broke the moves down and taught Little Treasure in detail. Do you know how to do it now? Little Treasure nodded. Good. Then we'll do it again from the start. Little Treasure followed her instructions, performing the whole set of actions smoothly. Because he was still little, he looked really cute doing the animal actions. Ningxi happily clapped, Little Treasure, you are awesome. You learn really fast. If possible, practice this once every day from today onwards, okay? Little Treasure's eyes sparkled when he was praised, and he nodded enthusiastically. Baby is the best. Yen Rui looked at her husband, what do you think? Lu Chongshan was deep in thought, with a dark face, don't forget that she's an actress so she could easily fool us. She might have predicted that we would monitor her secretly. Maybe she prepared all this beforehand. Yen Rui nodded, then let's observe a while more. Time flew, and evening came. Ningxi held hands with Little Treasure as they sat on the swings and watched the sunset together. There was one thing that Ningxi had had on her mind for a long time. She had been thinking about it when she got here as well. Seeing that she had to leave soon, she could not hold it in anymore and said to Little Treasure, Auntie has something to discuss with you. After monitoring for the whole afternoon, Lu Chongshan felt drowsy, but Ningxi's words woke him up immediately. It was finally here, the moment of truth. What do you think she wants to discuss with Little Treasure? Lu Chongshan asked his wife. Yen Rui thought about it, she already knows how much Little Treasure means to us, and knows how we will listen to what Little Treasure says. Maybe she's trying to brainwash Little Treasure into saying something good about her in front of us? Lu Chongshan had on a cold, sarcastic smile on his face, that wouldn't be just it. I'm afraid she'll even have Little Treasure throw tantrums at us, so that we will let her marry into our Lu family. Yen Rui became worried, as she ruminated about more and more possible negative consequences. This is too much. How can one use a child like that? Lu Chongshan had a serious expression, now you know how severe the consequences could be if we just let some woman with evil intentions into the Lu family? It might seem like a small issue to throw the whole household into chaos, but the fact is, an internal mess can be trouble for us externally too. The negative consequences are too much to bear. Yen Rui quickly nodded in agreement, you're right. Ting Xiao has been working really hard, and if the household turns into a chaos, he will be distracted for sure. In the yard, under the sunset, Little Treasure tilted his head and looked at Auntie Xiaoxi. Ningxi thought about her words carefully as she looked at Little Bun seriously, and spoke in a gentle tone, "Little Treasure, I know you like Auntie Xiaoxi. Auntie Xiaoxi really likes you too. You told me before, to love someone, you have to set them free, and now Auntie Xiaoxi wants to tell you that, there's not one person who can hold your entire world. There are a lot more wonderful things for you to discover in this world, waiting for you to experience, and to love. Auntie Xiaoxi really, really, really likes you, so I hope that you can grow up freely and happily." At this part, Ningxi finally got to her main point, "So, Auntie Xiaoxi hopes that you can promise me one thing." Cover dated novels on NOV/E/Lbin.co. The two oldies stared at the monitor screen intensely. Ningxi looked at Little Treasure and said, "Little Treasure, promise Auntie Xiaoxi you'll go to school, okay?" Lu Chongshan and Yan Rui looked at each other speechlessly. They then turned back to the screen with even more focus. What would Little Treasure's answer be? It was the first time that Little Treasure did not nod instantly at Ningxi's request. Ningxi was feeling very nervous at this moment, not confident that Little Treasure would agree to her promise. 10 seconds passed. 30 seconds passed. A minute. Ningxi was trying not to rush him, so she just waited in silence, as she grew more and more anxious. What she did not know was that there were two other people even more anxious than her. Finally, Ningxi could not wait anymore. She put her hands together and begged, "Little Treasure baby, please?" Little Treasure let out a helpless sigh, then he started writing on his board. Ningxi and the two oldies in the control room looked at him nervously. After a while, Little Treasure showed his board. Little Treasure doesn't want to go school. Ningxi's eyes lost their shine, and she looked disappointed. Her efforts still did not work. But soon, Little Treasure started writing again, and the second time he lifted his board up, it said, "But if Auntie Xiaoxi likes, Little Treasure promise." Ningxi stared at the words, Little Treasure, you promised, you really promised." And his promise touched her so much. He really was the child of the devil, no doubt about that. Lu Chongshan and Yan Rui were dumbfounded in front of the monitor screen. They had no idea how to describe their feelings in that moment. Little Treasure promised. Little Treasure actually promised to go to school. That meant that Little Treasure had taken the most important step towards becoming a normal child. Yan Rui was too excited. "Chongshan, did you see that? Little Treasure promised to go to school. This is great. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Our baby has promised to go to school." Lu Chongshan then let out a long sigh. "Even though we have tried convincing him for so long, even using whatever methods we could, she only needed to utter a few words to him to change his mind." Yan Rui sighed as well. "I used to think that Jingli was exaggerating, but it seems that Little Treasure really listens to her." Waves of worry started flowing in after the initial excitement. It seems that this woman isn't as simple as she looks. She's able to hold it in well, and I've underestimated her. Did you realize that all the things she did were for Little Treasure's good, but on the surface? Yan Rui went along with him. "I didn't understand before as well, now I'm clear why Jingli and Little Treasure like her so much. Even Ting Xiao is charmed by her." Lu Chongshan shook his head. "Anyhow, Ting Xiao is too young." Suddenly, a nervous voice came from the walkie-talkie. "Master Lu. Big Master is back." Lu Chongshan frowned. "If he's back, so be it. What are you freaking out for?" The source of this content N/O/V/L/N. As Lu Chongshan tried to bring up the monitor screen to see where Lu Tingxiao was, the screen went black. "That little bastard!" Lu Chongshan shouted angrily. "I knew that we couldn't hide it from him." In the little garden in the backyard, Ningxi was ecstatic that Little Treasure had promised to go to school. It was too bad that she had no one to share her happiness with at this moment. Suddenly, she saw a familiar shadow approaching. Lu Tingxiao! Ningxi's first reaction was to run over to him, but in her excitement, she almost crashed into him. He held her steadily, and she told him giddily, Lu Tingxiao. Little Treasure promised to go to school. MMM. Seeing the girl's excited, bright red face, Lu Tingxiao gave her an affectionate gaze, caressed her hair and said, "Thanks for your hard work." The man's touch broke through her overjoyed spell, and she stood up straight and backed away, awkwardly saying, "I didn't really do anything. I just talked to him." Crap! What was this? Why did she suddenly speed over to Lu Tingxiao like a bird flying back to its nest? She wasn't behaving like herself. Well, since you're back now, I should leave first. As she prepared to run away again, she suddenly remembered something, squatted down and spoke to the little bun, "Little Treasure baby, can you let me talk to your father in private?" Little Treasure looked at Auntie Xiaoxi and his father, and felt a little unhappy for being left out from the secret, but in the end, he agreed and nodded. After Ningxi gave Little Treasure his goodbye hugs, she turned around and spoke in a serious tone, "CEO Lu, I have something important to tell you." What is it? Lu Tingxiao's warm eyes calmed Ningxi's unsettling mood in that moment. When Ningxi gathered herself together, she deliberated to choose her words carefully before saying, "You should be more cautious nowadays, you know. When you move around, have more bodyguards with you or something. Even a dozen is not too many." The other day, after she unexpectedly received a phone call outside the bungalow from a certain someone, she felt uneasy. She knew what Lu Tingxiao was capable of, there was no way that guy could do anything to him, but she was still worried. She would even prefer if she herself could be his bodyguard and protect him 24/7. Lu Tingxiao squinted at this piece of news, and his eyes revealed a coldness. He walked slowly towards Ningxi. Ningxi subconsciously retreated backwards, until she felt her back pressed up against the wall filled with vines. Lu Tingxiao used one hand to lean on the wall behind her and suddenly asked, "This is a wall thud, right?" Ningxi, who was trapped, blinked and said, yeah. In fact, it was the perfect description. But why has the topic turned such a weird direction? The source of this content n/o/v/l/by/n. The last time I heard you say you liked it, so I learned to do it. Lu Tingxiao said. Ningxi laughed awkwardly. She really wanted to tell the devil, "There's no need for you to learn, really." In fact, when did she ever say that she liked this? She had actually said that girls could not stand this trick of backing them up against a wall. Great, now she felt like she could not stand it too. She was initially slightly worried that Lu Tingxiao would be unhappy about her alarm about his safety. It might seem like she was questioning his capabilities, and she was worried that she might cause him trouble too. Alas, Lu Tingxiao maintained his flirtatious posture and leaned forward to ask softly, "Ningxi, are you worried about me?" Ningxi was a little dumbfounded. "Pfft, yeah, you are my boss after all." "Is that so? Well, I'm very happy." Lu Tingxiao's eyes flooded with satisfaction, and then he said, "Then, I'll send you a message every day to tell you that I'm safe, okay?" Huh? Well, of course it'd be a good thing you're safe. Ningxi said, but then she felt that something was weird, though she could not pinpoint immediately what about it was odd. Lu Tingxiao smiled smugly, then straightened up and eased off his predatory pose. "I wanted to make you stay for dinner, but I'm guessing that you won't feel too comfortable here, so I won't ask you to stay." No need, no need. In that case, I'll make a move now. Bye-bye." Only when she finally reached home, Ningxi realized what was odd about the earlier encounter. As soon as she was home, Lu Tingxiao sent a message, "Are you home? I'm having dinner with Little Treasure, and all is fine." Don't need to worry. Please. She was just reminding him to be more careful. It wasn't like he was her husband, reporting to his wife every day. She was really going to make this devil suffer. She did not dare say he did not know how to flirt with girls anymore. She would not teach him how to pick up girls anymore. Yet, it did not end there. It was followed by another message from Lu Tingxiao. I'll take Little Treasure to register in the next few days. This is Little Treasure's first time to school. I hope you can come then. Ningxi was speechless. With such a request, she could not reject him, no matter what. Okay. As soon as she sent this, Ningxi crashed onto the pillow. Dead, she was clearly digging a hole for herself. However, the more she thought about it, the more she thought it was odd. What a coincidence that she was on her off day today. Then she was invited to accompany Little Treasure at the old residence, and coincidentally she managed to advise Little Treasure to go to school. Then, it was followed by the devil's suggestion for her to accompany him in sending Little Treasure to school. When she thought about it, the drama she was acting in would soon be launching, so she would also be free. The flow of all these incidents was too serendipitous. Was it really pure coincidence? After 2 days of rest, Ningxi restored her energy and returned to the drama team to continue work. She looked at the remaining work schedule and saw that her main scenes were completed, and that the rest were mostly supplementary shots for her previous scenes with Jia Qingqing. She had already memorized all these scenes by heart, so she was not stressed about it at all. When she reached the set, it was not yet the turn for her scene. Xiao Tao saw her and quickly walked over to greet. Sister Shi, you're here. I was just going to text you to say that you don't have to be here so early. Ningxi raised her eyebrows and joked, why? Is director feeling generous enough to give me more holidays? Nah. Look over. Xiao Tao's lowered voice indicated for her to look at Guan Xiaoqi and Fang Ye, who were in the middle of a shoot. It's Guan Xiaoqi, she has already made so many mistakes, she's even worse than the original Jia Qingqing. Guan Xiaoqi. Ningxi held her chin in her thumb and index finger, and murmured. Yeah, it's that new singer that our company tried to promote. Her singing is so bad, but what can we do? She's rich, and she's been throwing around money like it is flowing water. I heard that she has always been making noise about going into acting right from the start, but after the company tested her foundation skills, they realized that her acting was worse than her singing. That was why they used all sorts of ways to advise her to become a singer. At least singing skills can be fine-tuned later. Alas, after all the money was put in, she only became a singer for a few months and said she wanted to quit. At last, she still demanded to act, and that was how she came to storm the entertainment scene. When Xiao Tao finished gossiping, she anxiously reminded Ningxi, even though we are from the same company, but it's best to stay away from people like that. Ningxi nodded slowly and went deep in thought. Recalling the last incident in her apartment, even though it might not have been her intention, Guan Xiaoqi did help her out once. But of course, she would not do anything carelessly without knowing someone well. After she heard about this situation, Ningxi did not leave earlier, but sat down on a chair instead. She had quite a number of scenes with Guan Xiaoqi, so she felt like she needed to understand her level of skill first. At the end of the room, Guan Xiaoqi and Fang Ye's shoot continued. Guan Xiaoqi's character in the show was Meng Changa's rival, Princess Xian, and Fang Ye was acting as the other concubine, Princess Xu. Both characters usually fought a lot, so they had quite a number of scenes with one another. Ningxi watched from afar. From what she observed, it was always Guan Xiaoqi's fault, and Gui Qixing was about to break down in frustration. Guan Xiaoqi. You are a beloved concubine. Concubine. You must be evilly charming. And enchanting. Can your acting not be so stiff? As for your dialogues, our show is not using dubs, so the entire thing relies on receiving the live sounds and speech. How can we use this take if you're reciting dialogue as if you were reading a book monotonously? Discover W stories on no/e/lbin.com. Expressions. What about your expression? Xiao Tao delivered a packet of melon seeds to Ning Shi and said, "Sister Shi, see, I'm not exaggerating, am I? Her acting skills are just horrible. Sai, you and Teacher Zhang's collaboration is so smooth that everyone thought we could finish shooting much earlier." Alas, who knew we'd encounter this Guan Xiaoqi? She is really the queen of bad acting. Ning Shi did not say anything. Objectively, the problem was not about good or bad acting. Guan Xiaoqi simply did not have any acting skills at all, like a blank canvas. Usually in such a situation, the person who was acting with her would be very important. The worst part was, the person who was acting with her was Fang Ye, who had had previous conflicts with her. In fact, Fang Ye's acting skills were only average. If Guan Xiaoqi could actually perform well when acting with her, that would have actually been odd. Finally, Gui Qixing could not stand this any longer and shouted cut. Then he said tiredly, "Let's rest for 10 minutes, no, 20 minutes. Guan Xiaoqi, you had better make use of this break to come back improved." Ning Shi thought, 20 minutes. For Guan Xiaoqi, this break would not actually help her. If they continued on like this, Guan Xiaoqi would only continue to act horribly to no end. Gui Qixing definitely knew this too. Ning Shi looked at Gui Qixing and saw that he indeed had stepped aside to secretly make a phone call, guessing that he had called for help. Xiao Tao nibbled on the melon seeds as she shook her head and said, "Director Gui is probably getting our company to substitute her, but this is not possible. Guan Xiaoqi's got such a strong backing, she definitely can't be changed." Indeed, within 5 minutes, Gui Qixing walked out from the corner sadly. One look and anyone would know that his cry for help had failed. Gui Qixing walked straight to Ning Shi and said apologetically, "Ning Shi, there's been a bit of a delay, you might need to wait a little while more." Ning Shi smiled patiently and said nonchalantly, "No worries, Director, go on with your work. Don't worry about me." As Ning Shi spoke to the direction, Guan Xiaoqi and Fang Ye started to argue. Fang Ye was laughing mockingly and said insultingly to the rest of the crew, "Haha, this is too funny. Someone here said to me at first that she has amazing acting skills. Alas, this is the amazing standard you speak of?" Guan Xiaoqi's face stiffened and she stayed silent. Fang Ye became even more delighted when she saw that she had hit the insult jackpot, and said, "So what if you're rich? With such terrible acting skills, even if your family were made of silver and gold, you'd never make it. Such a waste." Guan Xiaoqi had never been a patient person, and now that she was getting further insulted, she burst, "I'll be a waste of money, all right, that's on me. You've got no control over it. For someone like you, I don't even think that your family has got the money for you to waste. It's easy to despise what you cannot get. You're jealous, aren't you? Look at your poor face. You. Fang Ye was so angry that she could explode. At the same time, Guan Xiaoqi's words did not just anger Fang Ye, but had indirectly included other acting members of the drama team with similar family backgrounds. She had really done herself in and earned more enemies now. This was not surprising, from a princess like her who was spoilt since she was young and was not able to handle such insults. To be considerate of how others felt was the least of her worries. When he saw that the situation was getting more serious, Gui Qixing rushed over to stop the fight. Xiao Tao, who was watching from the side, felt like Guan Xiaoqi was being unfair. "Please, Guan Xiaoqi, your words are too mean. You really can't blame everyone for hating her." Ning Shi did not express her opinion, but tapped Xiao Tao on the shoulder and said, "I'm going to the restroom." "Oh, Okay. Right, Sister Shi, is there anything you'd like to eat? I'll go get it for you. This will probably take quite a while. Ningxi waved, no need for that, thank you, you go get something for yourself instead. When Ningxi walked out of the restroom and was on her way back, she saw someone squatting under a tree not too far away. Guan Xiaoqi. Why is she squatting over there? Ningxi suspiciously stood there and watched for a while. She saw that Guan Xiaoqi was holding the script in her hand and practicing her dialogues. She looked very serious, not at all egoistic like how she had been acting in front of everyone. Discover W stories on no/e/lbin.com. Ningxi stood there and watched longer. Guan Xiaoqi did not notice that there was someone nearby at all, as she continued to practice over and over again. Very soon, 20 minutes passed. Ningxi returned to the resting area. Guan Xiaoqi and Fangya continued shooting, but the result was as terrible as ever. Ningxi quietly walked towards the director, who almost wanted to bang his head on the camera, and said, "Director, I have something to discuss with you. Visit N0VL/BEIN. For the best novel reading experience." Gui Qixing turned around with a tired face. "Oh, Ningxi, what is it? Tell me." Ningxi thought for a bit and asked, "I have something urgent to do later and it really can't wait. Is it possible for you to maybe rearrange for my scene with Guan Xiaoqi to be shot earlier?" Gui Qixing felt troubled. "Well, you can see for yourself how bad Guan Xiaoqi's acting is, and your scene with her is even more difficult." "It's okay, director, let's try. Maybe she's just finds that scene too challenging. Perhaps it might improve if we change the scene?" Ningxi comforted. "How can it be?" Gui Qixing shook his head with a bitter smile. "Forget it, with her acting skills, it would be the same. Anyhow, let's just follow your plan. If it doesn't work, then you don't need to waste your time with her and you can go settle your matter first." Ningxi quickly thanked. "Thank you, director." Gui Qixing coughed softly and interrupted Guan Xiaoqi's mechanical lines. "Guan Xiaoqi, stop for a while. Fangya, take a break first. Ningxi has some urgent matters later, so we'll shoot her part earlier." Fangya was happy. "All right, no objections to that." But as Guan Xiaoqi heard this, she froze and her fists tightened. Of course Fangya had no objections. Instead, she was excited when she went back to the resting area, chuckling, "Ha ha ha, Guan Xiaoqi is going to be dead." Do you guys know which scene she's shooting with Ningxi next? Ugh, it can't be, the one that Jia Qingqing failed 30 times, right? That's right. That's the one. Oh god, then Guan Xiaoqi is in for it. Guan Xiaoqi's 2 assistants, 11 and 12, were nervous for her. "Miss, let me go and discuss with the director and Ningxi. This scene is too difficult. You definitely can't do it." Yeah, when Jia Qingqing was shooting with Ningxi they had to reshoot many times. Shut up. Who said that I can't do it? Guan Xiaoqi still bundled her fists tightly, scolding both of them fiercely. No one is allowed to say anything. I'll do this scene. Are you saying that I'm worse than Jia Qingqing? Both assistants looked at each other and thought, if Guan Xiaoqi was at least half as good as Jia Qingqing, they would be so overjoyed that it would be like a dream come true. Sigh, this Ningxi, we're colleagues from the same company anyway, so why is she being like this? Can't she wait a while more? She knows that this scene is hard. So what if the both of you are from the same company? You're not really acquainted. With our Mrs. Personality, she almost made enemies out of everyone from the company. In the entertainment field, everyone only cares about themselves and never for others. After a few moments, the set for the next scene was ready. Ningxi and Guan Xiaoqi got into their positions. Ningxi sat on a luxurious wooden chair, while Guan Xiaoqi fell on the floor embarrassingly. Seeing Ningxi's eyes look down on her, Guan Xiaoqi felt humiliated and it was clearly expressed on her face. This time, Gui Qixing did not even care to give guidance before shooting, he just waved his hands and said, "Let's just begin." Background: Cold Palace. Characters: Meng Changge, Princess Xian. In the ruined palace, Ningxi sat on the wide, big chair, and looked down arrogantly with contempt, while Guan Xiaoqi was full of anger and humiliation. Gui Qixing saw this and his eyebrows softened. Guan Xiaoqi's expression actually looked good. Next, Ningxi looked at her disdainfully as if she was looking at a corpse. "Princess Xian, do you know why I hate you so much? Why I must take away your chances of surviving?" As Ningxi finished her lines, Gui Qixing's eyebrows knitted and he was already prepared to stop after Guan Xiaoqi's first line. The cameraman was adjusting his equipment casually as well. All the crew members and artistes had had enough of Guan Xiaoqi's usual arrogant ways, and everyone was waiting to see a good show. "Which? You're jealous of me. You're jealous that the emperor likes me. Jealous that I'm favored." Guan Xiaoqi read out her lines angrily, as her eyes became red. Damn it! Fangya and all these people, all of them, they were jealous of her. Everyone was shocked by Guan Xiaoqi's lines. Get your Avrite ovals at no/v/e/lbn.com. She didn't misread any of her lines, and actually had a really good expression and tone. Maybe it was luck. Even Guan Xiaoqi was shocked herself, but Ningxi quickly continued her lines to avoid her losing focus. Me, jealous? Jealous that you were favored by that dumb old man? Guan Xiaoqi went along with Ningxi's line and acted the next part naturally. She pulled an unbelievable face. "Princess De. Are you mad? I want to talk to the emperor. I will tell the emperor that you insulted." Ningxi made Guan Xiaoqi back off with a harsh stare, and then spoke. "Princess Liang, do you know who I am? Do you still remember the name of Meng Changge?" As everyone watched up to this point, they held their breath and stared intensely. The atmosphere was tense, and they were whispering in disbelief. Guan Xiaoqi is in luck, she hasn't gotten cut off up till now. Fangya laughed coldly. It will be any time soon, just wait and see." True, Jia Qingqing was cut off at the next line for 33 times. With Ningxi's gloomy stare, Guan Xiaoqi's face was full of fear. "You're Meng Changge? How is it possible that you're Meng Changge? Meng Changge is already dead. This is impossible. Impossible." Ningxi closed in slowly. "Zhao Wanru, if you're not dead yet, why would I be? Even if I was dead, I would crawl right back up from hell. Then I'll pull you down to die with me. Ah! Don't you come over here, don't come over." Guan Xiaoqi screamed in fear. Zhang Rui reminded the director, cut. Cut. Thanks to the co-director's reminder, the director returned to his senses and quickly shouted, "Cut." This scene had actually passed on the first take. The moment Gui Qixing shouted "cut," no one reacted. It was only after a while that everyone started discussing excitedly. "Oh my God! Did the sun just rise from the west? Guan Xiaoqi actually passed? And it was on first take. This is too shocking. What has gotten into her?" Fangya had a livid expression as she stood up and objected. "How is this possible? Director, how could you let her pass? She didn't do well at all. Her expressions and actions were too exaggerated." Gui Qixing looked at Fangya impatiently. "Xiaoqi doesn't come from an acting school. It's already very commendable that she could perform this way. He saw that Fangya was unsatisfied and continued, later on, please put in more effort into your scene with Xiaoqi. She can only follow if you're focused, understand? Director, it's her. Fangya was exasperated. Was now her fault that Guan Xiaoqi had bad acting skills? Suddenly, everyone around started to change their attitude. The director makes sense. At first I thought it was all Guan Xiaoqi's fault, but think about it, Fangya had some problems as well. Sure is. Otherwise, how would Guan Xiaoqi be able to do a one-shot take with Ningxi? Guan Xiaoqi has bad acting skills, but Fangya isn't that great either. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. After the scene was over, Guan Xiaoqi skipped happily back to the resting area. One assistant helped fan her and the other gave her water, gladly welcoming her. Miss, you were great just now. Yeah, you got it at the first shot. Marvelous acting. Guan Xiaoqi said proudly, I told you that my acting has no problem. It's just that I couldn't act well when I see Fangya's face, it makes me sick. Don't you trust me now? Yes, I do. Miss, you're the best. It's all Fangya's fault. Ningxi glanced at Guan Xiaoqi's direction, then walked over to Gu Qixing's side. Director, how was the scene? Were there any problems? No problem. It was great. Gu Qixing said with a face full of life. Ningxi acted casually and said, Director, I think Guan Xiaoqi is in shape right now. Wouldn't it be better to start shooting the next scene right now? You have a point, I'll let them prepare the next scene immediately. Oh right, you should attend to your urgent matter now. All right, thank you, Director. Ningxi nodded before she left. Xiao Tao followed Ningxi with a doubtful look. Sis Shi, what's up with Guan Xiaoqi? She passed on first take. Must be her luck? Maybe. I knew it. Sis Shi, you have something urgent? Do you need my help? No, you can get off work now. All right, thank you, Sis Shi. She thought she would have to work overtime tonight, but in the end she could get off earlier, so Xiao Tao left happily. Ningxi finished removing her makeup and changed her outfit, then walked along the corridor towards the hotel. Suddenly an arm reached over and hooked onto her shoulder. TSK, Ning Xiaoxi, how nice of you, playing the hero now? Ningxi pushed Jiang Mai's arm away and brushed off the non-existent dust on her shoulder. Why, do you have a problem with it? Jiang Mai just put his arm over her again. Aren't you the type to not meddle in other people's business? Why are you helping the nasty Guan Xiaoqi this time? Ningxi touched her chin. Guan Xiaoqi kind of helped me before, so I'm just returning the favor. I don't like to owe people. Moreover, not taking into account of her behavior and personality, I can see that she really loves acting. She felt positive about people who truly loved and were passionate about acting. Jiang Mai was speechless. You're so tender and cherishing towards her. You don't need to care if I'm tender or cherishing. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. I thought there weren't any scenes of you today. Why are you here? Jiang Mai excitedly said, since the rest of your scenes are easy, I'd like to invite you for a drink at the bar tonight. Ningxi raised a finger and shook it. Apologies, even though I did plan to go relax at the bar tonight, I was planning to go alone, not with you. Jiang Mai suddenly became angry. Please. Why not with me? Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. You want us to be spotted together again like the last time? Wasn't that just an accident? Besides, that incident led to an easy spokesperson job. Jiang Mai said with righteousness. Who's going to guarantee that I get this lucky every time? The famous star Jiang, please do me a favor and let me go. Have fun alone. I don't want to give Sister Gigi any more trouble. 1 hour later, at Carlos' bar. Carlos Bar was a very exclusive place, where the lowest rank in society's food chain, especially the men, would never be seen or heard. To the outside world, mentioning that they were going to Carlos Bar would naturally imply that the poor and the dogs are not allowed to enter. And of course, those that attracted the wealthy first and second generations were naturally socialites or hookers with the looks, body, charisma and more. Apart from power and wealth, a beautiful face was also the most effective pass to enter this place. When Ningxi finally warded off the whiny Jiang Mai and reached the bar, it was already almost full, so she had to find a corner for herself. To Ningxi, the best thing about this bar was that she did not need to dress up too much, because there was no one who would recognize her, a less than well-known actress. She could completely relax. Just as Ningxi sat down, there were several men who were looking around. These middle-aged men acted like they were hunting for prey and immediately stared at Ningxi's direction, revealing foul intentions. Her looks and charisma are outstanding, but the way she dresses is not too suitable for my taste. She doesn't seem like a socialite. If she's not a socialite, then she must be a hooker. Let's just look around, there are a lot of beauties in the bar tonight, no rush. These middle-aged men were sitting on a slightly more high-end sofa made of real leather, and they revealed lazy and comfortable postures, with voices that were not too soft nor too loud. However, the people around them could hear them clearly. Just as they finished speaking, several youths beside them suddenly stood up together. The young lad who led the group sported a branded shirt and trousers. He locked his long and narrow eyes on Ningxi and said, "Haha, this chick's charisma and looks are of fine quality. Since she's not your type, my brothers and I will go ahead then. Get your avrite ovals at no/v/e/lbn.com. As you please, Mr. Lee." The middle-aged men on the sofa smiled a little, nonchalantly. For them, their target was usually the real socialites, so even if women such as Ningxi were prettier, they were uninterested in them. The guys around Mr. Lee started to whistle at Ningxi, "Hey, beautiful. Wanna come over?" The bar played a light-hearted tune that was not too noisy or too piercing, so Ningxi could hear them calling out to her immediately. Ningxi's icy eyes skimmed across them nonchalantly and she did not respond. She had encountered such situations many times, so much so that she was already used to it. She only came to Carlos Bar to relax, so she just pretended she did not see them. This bar was of elite status, so people usually would not cause too much of a ruckus. "Hey girl, Mr. Lee is asking you to come over, didn't you hear us?" When Ningxi did not respond at all, the young men in front of Mr. Lee became unhappy and their tones instantly turned unfriendly. They completely did not expect the woman not to move an inch despite several invitations, and she continued with her drink, as if she did not hear them at all. "You bit dash." Before he could finish cursing her, Mr. Lee reached out to tap his shoulder and laughed. "This is not the way to flirt with girls. The process of conquering is to be enjoyed, understood?" When he heard what Mr. Lee had to say, the youth laughed. "Mr. Lee, you're telling me that I'm too rushed. We can't deal with girls like these. We will need Mr. Lee to personally do this himself. We brothers will just watch and learn from the side. Next time, we'll definitely not embarrass you." Mr. Lee nodded his head with a satisfied expression, and said with a tone of seniority, "To pick up girls like this one, you can't rush it, you have to take it slow." After he said that, he evaluated Ningxi with a look, then walked back to his VIP seat with the guys. Ningxi saw that the men did not continue to flirt with her, so she did not pay any more attention. She continued to enjoy her drink and listened to relaxing music. She depicted a sort of couldn't-be-bothered attitude in such a relaxed situation, and that seemed to make her appear more attractive. While she was waiting for her bill, Ningxi logged onto her Weibo. She noticed that she had not updated her Weibo for a long time. Since the drama would be launched soon, it would be good to stir up her popularity a little. She thought for a while, then wrote a post and uploaded it f0 low new hapters at nov/el/bin/.com. As I listen to wind and rain against my window at night, the dreams start to come. Counting down to the launch. Very soon, comments and likes started coming in and many of the drama team members shared it too. Jiang Mai shared it and added on, through thick and thin over 10 years, as they worry less and forget themselves, which very accurately reflected Meng Changge and Sun Huanqing's tragically touching relationship. As soon as Jiang Mai posted, all the fans online immediately exploded and started to discuss Meng Changge and Sun Huanqing, the ultimately popular couple shipped by many. At the same time, at Carlos Bar's highest floor VIP room, Lu Tingxiao was just drinking when the phone on the table buzzed with a notification sound. He clicked on it to see a new Weibo notification. It was the status that Ningxi had just posted. He had set Ningxi's profile to be a favorite and even set a program in his phone so that whenever Ningxi updated, it would automatically buzz with a notification to remind him. Lu Jingli, who saw this, was quite amazed. Wow, brother, you really are too much. You even have a special setting to watch her every move. I really can't understand you logical men's idea of romance. Lu Tingxiao ignored his brother and focused on Ningxi's Weibo status. It's only such a short sentence, you wouldn't be able to decipher anything. Lu Jingli mumbled softly. Then, he watched his brother's long slim fingers type a message to send to Ningxi. Lu Jingli daringly took a peek to see what was written, then closed his eyes and rolled over on his seat. Ah, damn it. My eyes. My precious eyes. I shouldn't have peeked. He was really looking for it. He thought that his brother was currently in an heartbroken situation, so reading it would not be a torture, but who knew that it was way worse. Almost immediately, downstairs, a notification popped up on Ningxi's phone. It was Lu Tingxiao. Ningxi drank the cocktail that the waiter had just served as she opened the message, thinking it was just Lu Tingxiao reporting that he was safe as usual. Alas, what she saw was, as I listen to wind and rain against my window at night, I dream of you. Pfft. Ningxi spit out the cocktail in her mouth and felt her face burning up. Jesus Christ. This devil is so savage that I cannot see straight. Since that day the devil had said one day, you will realize that cabbage is yummier than carrots, she went home and thought for a long time, but she still did not understand what the devil's upcoming plans would be. In that moment, she finally understood. The devil was clearly ready to attack her with the seduction move. While Ningxi was being hit on by Lu Tingxiao, from the corner of her eye she saw something flying across her direction. She swiftly picked up the tray on the table and blocked the attack. In the next second, a piercing sound was heard as the bottle almost hit her on the head fell to the ground. Without Ningxi lifting her head to look for the culprit, they came up to her first. A socialite lady clad in a shimmering red bodycon dress walked to her, full of confidence, with a group of people surrounding her. She said to Ningxi with a condescending look, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't sure why, but the bottle suddenly flew out of my hands." "It didn't hit you, did it?" Ningxi looked at them coldly without responding. She did not like to stir up trouble, but she was not afraid of trouble either. She would forget it since it did not hit her, but if this bottle had hurt her, she would not mind using her martial arts skills to teach them some lessons either. Since no one at this bar knew her, she could freely be herself. No worries. Ningxi stood up and prepared to move somewhere quieter, since she did not want to have any contact with these people. The socialite then signaled to several other girls. The girls surrounding the socialite immediately took heed and walked over, blocking Ningxi's way. "Don't go, that bottle almost hit you earlier. We feel bad about that, so we must compensate you." "Exactly, we were careless before this. If we just let it be, we'll feel very guilty." All the girls started to talk one after another, as if they really did feel guilty. Yet, there was no effort in disguising the nonchalance and condescending intent in their eyes. Then, the music in the bar started to get softer and many eyes around fell on them. They mostly stared at Ningxi, as if they were waiting for something to happen. That girl is a real socialite. Even though she looks average, her family background definitely isn't. How did that chick offend her? Ha ha ha, how is that even a question? It's most probably because that chick hooked up with her man. I know this socialite, it's Wang family's eldest daughter, Miss Wang Rulin, right? She is a green-eyed monster. Hook up? That can't be it, I was looking at that chick, she didn't move from her seat at all. This is the Carlos bar, you just need to look at someone a little longer to hook up with them. Haven't you heard of flirting with the eyes? Don't be so conservative. Everyone around started buzzing with conversation. Such a situation happened almost every night at Carlos' bar. Everyone was used to seeing this, naturally they were not too shocked by it, but they just liked to watch for the fun of it. Ningxi side-eyed those girls and said with a poker face, compensation won't be needed, your bottle didn't hit me. That won't work, even if we promised you, Sis Lan wouldn't, right, Sis Lan? One of the girls said, looking at the lady beside her. The lady came forward and stared at Ningxi, then said coldly, it must be hard for you, coming to Carlos' bar this late, and dressing up like this, you must have spent quite some money. I can't let you go back empty-handed, this is a reward, no, a compensation for you. As the lady finished talking, she opened her Hermes purse and took out a stack of cash, then threw it beside Ningxi's foot. 5,000, is that enough? Sis Lan, you're so generous. Even if it hit her just now, 5,000 would have been enough. Right, our Sis Lan is really generous. Even if she was a whore, it would be enough for one go. The few girls were full of sarcasm as they laughed coldly at her. In the bar, the scene was getting more and more heated up, as more people surrounded them. Mr. Li smiled, continuing to enjoy his alcohol nonchalantly, waiting for the best time to step up. Ningxi frowned slightly, these women were not here to apologize. They were obviously only there for trouble. What, is it not enough? For prostitutes like you, your price of sleeping with those old men would at most be around this price, wouldn't it? The lady stared at Ningxi in disgust. Without waiting for Ningxi's reply, bam, another stack of cash was thrown beside her leg again. Here's 10,000, plus the 5,000 earlier, that makes it 15,000, is it enough now? The lady laughed coldly again. Sis Lan, this is too much. I think 3,000 would be enough. Women like her who see how rich you are will surely try to get more from you. Sis Lan is just too kind, why not add another 10,000, make it 25,000. 25,000? I like this number. The lady continued smiling coldly, while she took out another stack of cash and threw it at Ningxi again. Ningxi evaluated the woman in front of her, like she was looking at an idiot. People like her had too much money lying around, what they wanted was just attention. Too bad, she did not care about her. Too bad, they were too much of a moron, she did not even have the interest to insult them, because it would not feel good to insult morons. Pretty girl, just accept the money. 25,000 isn't much, but it's better than suffering throughout the night. A muscular, blonde-haired, blue-eyed man squatted down and collected all the money on the floor. He was prepared to give it to Ningxi, and even gave her an ambiguous glance. Thank you, but I don't think I need this compensation, Ningxi replied coldly. Which, the lady started scolding angrily and was clearly infuriated. I'm just pitying you, so I'm compensating you kindly, and now you're even seducing my Qingyun. She was ticked off earlier because her male partner kept on looking at this woman's direction, and now this woman was seducing Qingyun right in front of her. Who did she think she was? Ningxi really did not want to talk to them anymore, but they kept on pestering her and her patience had reached its limit. She sneered and looked at the Caucasian guy like she was looking at a cheap slab of pork. Me, seducing him? Cut the crap! Of course it was you who seduced him, not the other way around. You're still looking. Have you never seen a handsome guy before in your life? Do you really need to salivate like this? Your F48 stories on /o/v/lbn.cm. TSK. She must have slept with so many old men that she has yet to see someone this handsome before. The lady caressed her manicured nails as she looked at Ningxi's pretty little face, and talked to her in an unfriendly tone. Now, you should kneel down and apologize to me. Promise that you'll never be involved with other people's men ever again. Crawl out of this bar, then I'll forget about what happened tonight. If not, don't even think about leaving this place. You want to leave after offending our Miss Li? Not so fast. The lady's bunch of thugs slowly closed in. Ningxi glanced at those thugs and calmly cracked her finger joints. Hee hee, Sis Lan, what has this girl done to you that has got you so angry? Mr. Li, who had been enjoying his drink at the VIP seat, suddenly walked over and looked at the lady with a smile. Yo, Mr. Li. Seeing him, the lady's expression softened and she said, weren't you always unfavorable of poor and disgusting witches like her? Why are you helping out people like her today? Sis Lan, I really like this girl, so give me some face and don't bother her anymore, Mr. Li explained like a gentleman. Mr. Li, you're interested? The lady said, stunned. Fine, since you like her, there's nothing much I can say. With the power you have, a night would get you at least $50,000. What a lucky girl she is. A few girls around tittered in secret. Mr. Li was infamous for being crazy in bed. Who knew how many women had been tortured by him? Any girl would have it coming rough for themselves if they were favored by Mr. Li. But if there was money involved, it probably wouldn't matter to a woman like this. Miss, I'll buy you for a night for $50,000. Just follow me now, or else you'll have a hard time leaving the bar after offending Sis Lan. Mr. Li acted as if he was confident of getting his way, as he swaggered towards Ningxi like a hero and was about to hold her hand. The next second, Ningxi slapped away Mr. Li's hand. You. Humiliated, Mr. Li's face darkened in an instant. Without a word, Mr. Li's group of supporters and thugs joined in the fray as well. Ningxi was now going up against two groups of people. It felt like a fight would blow up at any moment. What a lively night. Among the noisy, chaotic atmosphere, an ice-cold voice struck through the hearts of the people present like a frigid wind. Suddenly everyone was looking behind Ningxi, speechless. Ningxi herself was frozen as well. This voice was. Visit no, v3lb/n. cm for new OVL. The devil. As Lu Tingxiao appeared, the few ladies in front were stunned. This man who just made his sudden appearance could barely be described with just the word cool. His behavior could not hide his extravagance. Just one icy look of his was enough to let someone fall for him mercilessly. Oh my God! Who is this man? He's so cool! He's not just handsome. It's his aura. So charismatic. Very manly. I thought Qingyun was as manly as a man can get, but in front of this man he's nothing. Miss Wang just stared blankly at Lu Tingxiao, blushing. The man in front of her was like a god. He was the definition of her dream man. Just by looking at him, she suddenly felt that all the cute boys she was proud of were trash compared to him. When she saw the way Ningxi was staring at this man who had just suddenly appeared, the lady spitefully sneered at her, "Do you even have the right to stare at a man like him?" Ningxi was reaching a whole new level of patience, thanks to these morons. Mr. Liu, do you have any orders? The barman quickly came over and attended to the man. Carlos Bar was under the Liu Corporation. It was a good thing that the manager had seen this low-profile boss before, so he recognized him instantly after such a memorable first impression. Visit no.v3lb/n.cm for new OVL. The manager knew that the boss did not like people to know who he was, so he just addressed him as Mr. Liu. Put everyone's tabs on me, Liu Tingxiao declared casually. Okay, no problem, the manager quickly replied. Everyone cheered hearing Liu Tingxiao's words. Just by observing the manager's nervous behavior, one could decipher that this man was a big shot and was probably filthy rich. What he just did only further confirmed it. The lady looked at Liu Tingxiao greedily since she just saw how generous he was. She could not wait anymore. She walked towards him with a pounding heart, introducing herself. So, Mr. Liu, I'm Wang Rulin from the Wang Corporation. I wonder if you're working right now and if I would be fortunate enough to have a private conversation with you over some drinks. A handsome face combined together with a charm and a strong financial background, what a package. All the customers' bills tonight would easily reach tens of millions, but this man seemed like he did not care at all. How attractive was that? And his surname was Liu, could he possibly be related to the legendary family from the Imperial? Liu Tingxiao just glanced at the lady with a cold expression and told her, for this question, you'd need to check with someone else. If she's okay with it, then I have no objections. Who is it? The lady quickly asked. Liu Tingxiao nodded his head towards Ningxi. Her. Ningxi was surprised and speechless. What? Asked this witch. The lady was shocked and confused. Liu Tingxiao gave her a cold stare. Excuse me, miss, please take back what you've just said and apologize to her. She's the apple of my eye. As if his words were not shocking enough, he added further, too bad, she still isn't mine. The apple of your eye? The lady yelled in disbelief. How is this possible? A man like this should only be worthy of someone of her own status, but he was going for such a dirty woman? You actually fancy a woman like this? Do you know how dirty she is and how many people she's slept with before? The lady could not accept this truth. Liu. Ningxi saw that Liu Tingxiao was arguing for her sake and wanted to stop him, but he just calmly gave her a warning glance and softly said, It's okay, leave it to me. The lady's face turned really red seeing how gentle Liu Tingxiao treated Ningxi. She said, Mr. Liu, don't be deceived by someone like her. She's just playing hard to get. In the end, she just wants more money. She threw all her money and cards from her purse at Ningxi's feet. Get away from this man. How much do you want? Name me a price. The few women beside the lady went along with her. Don't people like you just want money? Name a price, our sis Lan will be able to afford it. Liu Tingxiao just quietly looked at the lady crazily throwing her money, then calmly said, Aside from being the apple of my eye, she's my superior, as well as my boss. Tonight, the one who's really treating everyone to drinks is her. So, you're now not only drinking my boss alcohol, but also insulting her. If possible, please throw up all the drinks you've drank before. Regardless of everyone's expression of disbelief, Liu Tingxiao looked at the speechless Mr. Li. Of course, you as well. In that instance, everyone in the bar suddenly became as stiff as a statue, stunned. The man in front of them was clearly someone extraordinary, so his identity was already scary enough. And this man was now saying that the woman they kept accusing as a prostitute was his superior, his boss? Then, who in the world could this woman be? Which big shot had they offended now? This is crazy. This woman is his superior? His boss? Did I get it wrong? How could this be? You're definitely lying. But why would he lie to us? There's no need for that, right? Besides, this man Lu's attitude towards her was only filled with admiration, love and utmost respect. Could it be that this woman is really his boss? Jesus! And just now she kept throwing money at her. She has really embarrassed herself this time. In reality, Carlos Bar had always had hidden gems and personalities going in. Someone who dressed up less glamorously might be a big boss, so the more they thought about it, the more they felt it was possible. Suddenly, everyone turned pale. They looked at Ningxi as if they were looking at a ghost. We're toast. I kept calling her a witch earlier. Oh God, me too. We've done ourselves in. We've really gotten into trouble this time. We may offend just anyone, but not someone like her. All new Haptors NNV, Lbin. Calm. While everyone was in shock, Ningxi was expressionless because her thoughts were all jumbled up and there was so much she wanted to express, so she kept a straight face. Yet, anyone could see that she was in deep thought, which frightened those present even more. Shall I say something, or not, she thought to herself. Since they offended someone like her, would they be able to leave the bar in one piece tonight? All of a sudden, no one could tell who started first, but the sound of retching filled the air. This seemed to spark off a chain reaction and soon the entire place was gagging. Even though Lu Tingxiao only called on Wang Rulin and Mr. Li, many others had also insulted Ningxi earlier. Those people were nobodies compared to Wang Rulin and Mr. Li, so they felt like they had no choice but to vomit out the alcohol first. After all, it was only throwing up. It would still be better than getting into trouble with Ningxi and Lu Tingxiao. As she watched everyone around her regurgitate the alcohol one after another, Miss Wang turned pale. She lifted her head slowly to look at Lu Tingxiao, as if hoping for mercy. Yet, when she looked up, all she saw was his proud eyes. Because she was too frightened, she could not help herself any longer and she puked it all out. When he saw that everyone had thrown up, Mr. Li, who pretended to be headstrong, could not hold it in anymore and put his fingers into his throat to discharge the alcohol. He would not have thought that his plan of wanting to be a hero would turn into this ugly scene. The entire bar was filled with the unpleasant smell of guts and alcohol, and it was an ungodly sight. Lu Tingxiao took off his coat nonchalantly and covered Ningxi with it to prevent her from getting dirty. Then, he led her towards the door without even turning back. At the same time, on the second floor of the bar, Lu Jingli held a bag of melon seeds in shock. Jesus! When the devil flared up to protect his wife, he turned terrifying indeed. Lu Jingli shook his head as he mumbled to himself, but, bro, if you want to flare up, you should bear the consequences in mind. This is our bar and business might be affected. Fine, this guy only has his wife in mind. To hell with the business, wasn't it? Outside the bar was a road flanked by ginkgo trees. The night was cold, as a couple strolled slowly along the quiet road. Are you all right? Lu Tingxiao asked in concern. Ningxi shook her head. She had not entirely calmed down from the scene earlier. How did you suddenly appear back there? I was discussing some matters upstairs and just finished. I saw you as I was about to leave, Lu Tingxiao explained. Oh. Ningxi did not really know what to say and just responded, thank you for rescuing me from that situation. Lu Tingxiao was shrugged nonchalantly, you don't have to thank me. I know that even if I didn't come forward, you would be able to resolve it by yourself. I just didn't want you to have to dirty your hands. Ningxi's heart beat fast as his low coarse voice lingered by her ear. She cleared her throat and tried to change the topic. Right, why did you tell them that I was your boss? Clearly, you're the one who's my boss, you seem to have messed it up. What is a boss's role to you? Lu Tingxiao did not answer her, redirecting her another question instead. A boss's role? Ningxi thought about it, then answered, probably someone who provides me with a monthly salary, as I help him earn revenue, and follow all his orders? Lu Tingxiao nodded. Ningxi was speechless and dumbfounded. What did that reaction mean? In the next second, she suddenly understood. Based on her explanation, wouldn't the definition of a boss be similar to that of wife's? Sigh, this was the longest road she had ever walked down in her lifetime. The road leading to the devil's trap. It's quite late now, I shall make a move first. Thank you for tonight. Ningxi announced her departure. Lu Tingxiao was just walking to his parking spot, so he opened the passenger door to his car and said, I'll send you home. Ningxi scratched her head and said, I don't think there's a need for that, I can just hail a taxi for myself. Lu Tingxiao then replied, You're too beautiful tonight. It's not safe. Ningxi was tongue-tied yet again. She decided that from now on, she should shut up to be safe from his flirtations. Finally, Lu Tingxiao sent her to her apartment. Ningxi breathed a sigh of relief as she was finally home. She took a bow and said, Thank you, boss, I'll go up now. Ningxi, Lu Tingxiao suddenly called to stop her. Yes? Can I hug you for a while? Lu Tingxiao asked in a soft voice, as if afraid that anyone except her would hear. Ningxi was shocked. The stars shined brightly and the wind blew softly. Under the moonlit sky, Lu Tingxiao's eyes were charmingly gentle. Read latest chapters at no.vel.bin/c/o/m only. Damn it! His seduction skills were too smooth, and she felt like her gates of resistance could not hold up its guard much longer. She knew that he was trying to seduce her, and knew that every step he made was a plan that had a motive. Yet, she could not help herself. Who could ignore flirtations from someone that they liked? She definitely deserved an award for the fact that she could resist it all the while. What to do, to agree or not to agree. As the atmosphere became increasingly taut with sexual tension, Ningxi's handphone suddenly rang, abruptly interrupting the quiet midnight air. Ningxi was still torn between how to react when she glanced at her phone reluctantly. When she saw the phone clearly, her blood ran cold. Across the phone screen was a sentence, My dear, agree to him and see what happens. I challenge you. Damn it! CEO Lu, it's really late now and the moon is really pretty tonight. Haha, you should go home earlier. I'll go sleep now too, haha, bye-bye. Ningxi blurted out her string of goodbye hastily and then disappeared within a second. She did not even know what she just said to Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao stayed at the same spot. First, he watched the back of the girl as she bolted away, then he lifted his head and looked into the darkness. Not until she had managed to run into her apartment and close the door would Ningxi's heart finally calm down. She ran so fast that she almost tripped. After taking in several deep breaths, she took out her phone again. My dear, agree to him and see what happens. I challenge you. Smiley face, YS. She did not misread the message. She recognized the evil smiley face that a certain someone liked to use when he threatened people. What was going on? Could it be that he was nearby? Ningxi's hands were trembling as she walked back and forth in her apartment repeatedly. At last, she finally stopped speculating wildly and just called him. The person on the other end of the phone seemed to tease her intentionally by not picking up immediately. Only when the phone was about to go to voicemail did he slowly answer in a lazy drawl, Hello? Where are you? Ningxi cut to the chase with her question. Las Vegas. Why are you messing with me? Ha, if I was really nearby, did you think you would be able to call me right now? the man teased in an unfriendly tone. Did you get someone to spy on me? Pfft, don't think so lowly of me. I don't care how you know. I'm asking you, what is it that you want to achieve? Ningxi took a deep breath to calm herself down as she asked through gritted teeth. It's a secret. Pfft. My dear, be good. I hope there won't be a next time for what happened tonight, understood? Hello, hello, hello. The phone went dead. Ningxi was so angry that she slammed her fist on the bed. Discover NW Chapter SNN0EL by .com. After that night, Ningxi went about every day anxiously. Her fear of having the guy suddenly appear out of nowhere tortured her mentally. She safely endured this until the last day of shooting. Finally, it was the final scene to be shot. Ningxi had been tense since last night and had not stopped preparing herself. This scene was the setting before Meng Changa's death, and it was the last scene of the entire drama. It was even more climactic than Sun Huanqing's death, so much so that even Ningxi was not confident that she had what it took to deliver the scene. This was the first time in the entire drama shoot that Ningxi was nervous. Because she was so deeply immersed in her character for the show, Ningxi did not notice the weird looks she got when she appeared on set. Until Fang Yu walked right up to her and said, Ningxi, you're finally here. There's a letter for you. It looks like you have an admirer. Ningxi was still recalling Meng Changa's life story to refine her character's emotions before death. She was in a state of extreme nervousness, so even though she was physically present, her mind was elsewhere. Even though her eyes saw Fang Yu right in front of her, she did not hear what Fang Yu had said at all. Fang Yu held a pink-colored letter in her hand, and on the corner of the letter was carved two very subtle alphabets, YS. Fang Yu waved the letter in front of her and then said, Ah, Ningxi, you're going through the script, aren't you? Since you're so busy, I'll read this for you. People around could not help but laugh out loud at the contents of the letter. Fang Yu read it out loud, Ah, my dearest Shi, I love you like how the mice love its rice, like how the cat loves its fish, like how the dog loves its bone. Fang Yu read in a comical, exaggerative tone as more and more people surrounded her, everyone laughing together. Haha, this is too funny. This love letter is so old-fashioned. Did the person even graduate from primary school? Or maybe he stopped at kindergarten? There are still people who write love letter nowadays? I sure am drunk. Who is this guy? Is there still a need to ask? It must be some poor freaky fan. Be more serious. I'm not done with reading. Fang Yu glared at them, then continued reading. Now, I present you my sincerest wishes and love for tomorrow night's celebration dinner. I'll bring you a present that will be the most honorable, most tempting, and most befitting of your wisdom and nobility. Reading up to this point, Fang Yu could not hold it in anymore. Haha, I can't go on anymore. This is too funny, somebody please save me. Not only does this man have no culture, he's such a moron. He sure talks big. A present that's the most honorable and most tempting. Is he going to send an excavator over to the dinner tomorrow? It sure fits Ningxi's nobility. Everyone laughed. Maybe even a tractor. It might also be a truck full of cornbread. Stop guessing wildly, a truck full of cornbread would cost a lot, you know? TSK, still acting big while being poor, I've had enough of this. People like these disgust me. How did Ningxi get such disgusting admirers? Hee hee, isn't there a saying that goes, you attract the kind of people who are similar to you? The place became even noisier. Ningxi, who was in the middle, did not say anything at all this whole time, then she silenced everyone sharply, quiet. Fang Yu kept her mouth shut, and everyone lowered their voice. Next, Ningxi just stood up with her script and walked through the crowd emotionlessly, straight towards Guiqixing's direction. Actually, while Fangya and the group were rambling on, Ningxi had just been making random grunting noises without even knowing what they were talking about. She did not even notice the love letter as she was just trying to avoid any distraction and to focus on getting into her act. Everyone started to gossip more right after Ningxi left. Pfft. Why is this guy acting all big for? Fangya tossed away the letter in disgust, thinking that Ningxi just escaped an embarrassment. She sarcastically said, even she knows shame. Didn't she act all high and mighty before? Being the prettiest girl in the entertainment industry, having the most admirers and all. Getting endless gifts like flowers and diamonds on the first day of shooting. What now? The quality of her admirers is getting lower and lower. Those flowers and diamonds must be sent by the uncultured goofball. How can they compare to a gentleman like Su Yan? Speaking of which, could it be that Ningxi has found herself some supporters just to show her some face? It's possible since Ningxi Elua was getting all the spotlight from that real handsome gentleman Su Yan at that time. Perhaps she just didn't want to feel inferior. All test NOVL on novelben/.cm. Listening up to this point, Fangya's eyes shone and she lowered her voice, telling everyone in a secretive tone, speaking of Su Yan, I'm going to tell you guys a huge, shocking secret. A huge, shocking secret? What's the secret? Tell us quickly. Yeah, stop teasing us. Everyone loved gossip. What more if it was a secret? Almost everyone gathered in front of Fangya. Fangya was satisfied as everyone's anticipation was at a peak, and she announced dramatically, during tomorrow night's celebration dinner, Su Yan will be proposing to Ningxi Elua. As she finished, everyone's jaw was gaping open. This was some really huge news. After a moment of stunned silence, everyone bombarded her with questions for details. Oh, God! Is this true? A live proposal? How romantic! Fangya, how do you know about this? Find new stories on nov/elbin.com. Fangya declared proudly, Ningxi Elua is my best friend, so of course, Su Yan's going to tell me beforehand and have me coordinate with him on the details. You had all better keep this a secret and don't let Xu Elua know. Otherwise, the cat is out of the bag. Okay. We won't say anything. Everyone nodded in resonance. Fangya continued boasting, our celebration dinner tomorrow, the hotel accommodation, and the banquet will all be sponsored by the Su family. It's probably going to be a big surprise. Wow. I'm so envious of Ningxi Elua. Oh my gosh! This has to be the biggest news of the year. Just thinking about it makes me happy. Such an excellent man, and he's putting in so much effort. Suddenly, someone from the group asked, since Ningxi has always been competing against Ningxi Elua, isn't she going to get really pissed off this time around? Fangya scoffed, haha, don't you guys realize? Ningxi must have already heard about Su Yan going to propose. Didn't you see how unhappy she was today? Everyone thought for a while, then they suddenly realized, no wonder, she does look like she's down today. She's in such a terrible mood. Someone else suddenly laughed, haha, I suddenly thought about this, would the freaky fan of Ningxi's prepare a surprise at tomorrow's celebration dinner? If it were to clash with Su Yan's plan, wouldn't it just make Ningxi look bad? Haha, thinking about the love letter makes me want to laugh. How can someone be so weird? Who knows what he will bring? Fangya mumbled in disdain, she brought it upon herself, affiliating herself with just anybody. Having all the lowly people around her, one cannot blame her for being jealous of Xu Elua. After everyone dispersed, Fangya felt accomplished. She then secretly texted Chang Li a message, "Sis Chang, everything is done. The rumors are spread. Even God is on our side because Ningxi has a weird fan who's going to prepare her a surprise." At the same time, at Country F, Le Doyen, a Michelin 3-star high-class restaurant. As the kitchen crew was busy preparing for the banquet, the executive chef suddenly received a call from Las Vegas. Alan stopped what he was doing. He took off his apron and passed it to his sous chef, and ordered them in a serious tone, "I'm going to take off now to Country C, to be a sous chef for a dinner that was called for at the last minute. I'll leave everything here to you guys." The other chefs were shocked, and they looked at each other in confusion. "Right now, at this very moment? Your schedule usually needs to be booked at least half a year in advance, no matter how honorable the customer is. How come this time? I didn't hear it wrong, did I? You said you were going to be the sous chef, so who is the head chef? Who is qualified enough for you to become his or her assistant? To be able to become this person's assistant is my honor," Alan spoke with respect. The other chefs were in disbelief. To be able to make Alan voluntarily become the sous chef, they could stab a guess at who this master was. But to be able to invite this master was another ball game altogether, so who was hosting this dinner? Discover NW Chapter SNN0EL by.com. Out of curiosity, one of the chefs asked, "I wonder whose dinner are you preparing for this time?" Alan was not sure. "I didn't ask much, I only know that one of them is a lady called Ningxi." Ningxi? Who is that? Everyone looked at each other in confusion. Suddenly, one of them remembered something and asked, "Your student, William Fee, is from Country C as well. Maybe he might know who this honorable lady is. Will he be joining her for dinner?" "William?" Alan asked, then shook his head. "If I've been appointed as just the sous chef, he wouldn't be qualified." Oh! Everyone's respect for Alan swelled. Ningxi had no idea about this change in the Michelin-starred kitchen. She was focused on discussing her scene with Guo Qixing and the screenwriter Yu Linglong. After some time preparing, Ningxi gathered her confidence, took a deep breath and told Guo Qixing, "Director, I can do it now." "Good." Guo Qixing patted her shoulder and said, "Let's begin." Guo Qixing informed all the departments to set up, then used the loudspeaker to shout, 3, 2, 1. Action! Everyone went silent when the shooting started. It was finally the last scene, the ending for the world. All three of them were dead, the spy, Princess Xian and the corrupted emperor. Meng Chang'e finally got her revenge. Her next target for revenge was the world that had abandoned and betrayed the brave souls in her Meng family. Yet, at the last moment, with the blood of historical generals in her lineage, she could not bring herself to do it. In the end, she chose to jump off the cliff, and in doing so, granted the male protagonist's wish. Ningxi struggled a lot with the scene as she could not decide what feelings to portray when Meng Chang'e committed suicide. Was Meng Chang'e feeling angry, was she unwilling, or was she in despair? Ningxi almost went crazy thinking about this. Nevertheless, Ningxi performed the scene perfectly. Meng Chang'e was dressed in a bright red bride outfit as she held Sun Huanqing's memorial tablet to her chest. She was devoid of any anger and reluctance, and neither was there any despair nor nostalgia. She just had the apprehension of a little girl on her face, as if she was reliving her first meeting with Sun Huanqing. She closed her eyes, put on a contented smile, and jumped down. The way Ningxi chose to portray the character was to perform as her original true self. She turned Meng Chang'e into the carefree little girl she once was in her final moments. The scene of jumping off the cliff was extremely poignant. There was not an obvious element of sadness, but almost everyone at the set teared up, feeling empty, and felt like they had lost something important. The original ending was to have Meng Chang'e die in the hands of the male and female protagonist. Yet, after this rearrangement, while it only seemed like a difference between suicide and homicide, it set a completely different tone to the ending. The last scene was finished. The world had ended. We're done. We're finally done. Everyone started to cheer, some were even so emotional that they could not stop their tears from flowing down their faces. Ningxi too was grateful beyond words. Her first drama had finally come to an end. When she returned to her private restroom, Ningxi slumped in exhaustion onto her dressing table without even changing out of her set clothes. This was when Xiao Tao rushed into her room exclaiming, "Sis Shi, you're finally done shooting." Ningxi waved weakly, "What's wrong now, my dear? If there's anything, could you tell me later? My brain is a little foggy right now, I can't really think." Discover W stories on no/e/lbin.com. Xiao Tao could not wait, "It can't wait, sis Shi. Do you know what the drama team has been saying about you behind your back?" "What? What about me? She only shot a scene, what could possibly have happened?" Xiao Tao anxiously said, "Fanya already read out that love letter in front of you. Why are you still confused?" I think Fanya did read something, although I don't know what, in front of me earlier." "What did you say that was? A love letter?" Ningxi was surprised. She was immersed in her character in preparation for the scene earlier. All she knew was that the group of people had been making a lot of noise in front of her, but she was clueless as to what had happened. Xiao Tao threw her hands up in defeat. She handed the wrinkly crumpled-up pink letter to her, "See for yourself." Ningxi gathered her senses and scratched her head, and she took the letter. She started to read it to herself. "Ah, my dearest Shi, I love you, like how a mouse loves its rice, like how a cat loves its fish, like how a puppy loves its bone. What is this?" Ha ha. Ningxi could not continue reading it any longer, she almost choked with laughter. What was this crap? Who knew that in her lifetime, she would see such a cursed love letter? If one's Chinese was so poor, one shouldn't try to show off. It really was so terrible to read. It even hurt the eyes, and such horrible language was akin to committing a sin. What the hell is a present that will be the most honorable, most tempting, and most befitting of your wisdom and nobility? Honorable was okay, but what was up with the most tempting part? What nonsense was this bastard thinking of pulling? The more Xiao Tao thought about it, the more she became worried. "Sis Shi, you don't know this, but everyone is waiting to watch you make a fool of yourself. I even heard that for tomorrow night's launch, Su Yan is preparing to give Ning Shuelua a big surprise. It's highly likely that he's going to propose. Your unknown admirer also said that he wants to prepare a big surprise for you. With the proposal in comparison, you're going to be so embarrassed. Sis Shi, for the celebration dinner tomorrow, please don't let him appear. The place will be filled with media. Or else you would really be humiliated." Ha ha. Ningxi laughed bitterly and sighed. "You think I want this to happen?" She thought to herself. "Even if I willed it not to happen, what power do I have?" Ningxi clenched the letter in her fist and looked drearily. It seemed like she would not be able to evade him this round. Right now, she could only console herself that she would rather that asshole torture her than for him to mess with Lu Tingxiao. In a blink of an eye, it was the day of the celebration dinner. Ningxi's last scene yesterday used up so much of her energy that she still had not recovered. She looked listless. She usually went into character as quickly as she could revert to herself after shooting. However, with a situation like yesterday's, she had immersed herself entirely into the scene without any reservations. To detach herself from the character again would take quite some time. To put it simply, the current Ningxi was still one half of Meng Changa's soul. Xiao Tao became very anxious as she thought that Ningxi had suffered from the blow of the gossip and could not bring herself to be energetic. She did not have any idea what to do, so she could only follow Ling Zhixi's orders to function as always and play by ear. Today's main highlight would definitely be Ning Xuelua, so Ling Zhixi's only request to Ningxi today was only one word: stable. Ningxi painted her face with makeup decently, not wanting to stand out, and she wore a champagne-colored Chanel gown from the latest fall-winter collection. The dinner was held at Imperial's only 6-star hotel. Ningxi had reached a little early and saw that all around her were busy crew members still decorating the area. It was filled with red roses and heart-shaped balloons. It would have to take a blind person to ignore that these were clearly preparations for a marriage proposal. Apart from that, the hotel was also filled with all sorts of gift baskets. They were from collaboration companies and fans. It was so full that there was almost nowhere to walk. Ningxi briefly skimmed the lavish gifts and saw that at the corner was a gift basket labeled Ningxi's Global Fan Club. Her heart was warmed. She even had a fan club now. Upted chapters nnvelben.com. Even though it was not much compared to Ning Xuelua and Zhao Xizhou's gifts, she was already very happy. However, Xiao Tao clearly felt disappointed. She thought about how few gifts Ningxi received. How stingy of them! When the reporters see this later, they wouldn't even know what to write. She recalled with a sigh that when she used to attend to Ling Manyuan, every launch dinner of hers was filled with mountains of gifts. Now she might even be shamed together with Ningxi, for even someone of Ning Xuelua's status to overshadow them. Her friends were going places in this industry, but only she went from being at the peak of everyone's envy to the bottom of the pit. The more she thought about it, the sadder she got. This was when Fangya and the bunch started to make an entrance with lots of noise. Wow! The place is decorated so beautifully. This is too dreamy. I wonder how much all these cost. Even just booking the entire hotel would cost an astronomical sum already. The hotel really earned it this time. Come on. The latest most popular female actress and the man with the highest net worth are romantically making a pact of their love here. With such a sensational news, this hotel could use it to promote itself too. Of course, they wouldn't miss this opportunity. When the crowd was done with their oohing and awing, they all giggled with their hands covering their mouths as they looked at Ningxi's little fan-gifted gift basket. What's this that Ningxi's fan gave her? Just a little gift basket? Why is she standing there then? She wouldn't be looking for that pleb's surprise, would she? Expecting something from that weirdo? She must have been too provoked by Xuelua. Fangya's face was full of delight as she looked at Ningxi, and she arrogantly repeated the words from the other night, "Sigh, if there was nothing to compare to, there wouldn't be any hard feelings now." When she heard such a piercing insult, Xiao Tao could not tolerate it any longer, and she was so angry that she cried on the spot, "These people are too mean. How can they do this?" Ningxi sighed and touched Xiao Tao's head. She said softly, "Xiao Tao, be good. This is only temporary. I won't let you suffer with me. One day, I will conquer the world for you." Xiao Tao instantly laughed through her tears, as she said with red cheeks, "Sis, I hate you. You're teasing me again." Seeing the girl laugh, Ningxi was finally relieved. Actually, she was fine with being unhappy for a short while. Such a petty thing was really nothing to her. But what she could not stand most was to let the people around her suffer with her, because of her. Night arrived and the hall was lit brightly. The drama team's core production members, partners, and media members entered the venue. As they explored the huge banquet hall to network, the drama team's members glowed in pride. Discover NW Chapter SNN0EL by calm. My God! This is too amazing. Have you seen any other launching dinner this grand? I must take more pictures to make my friends jealous. Haha, then I might as well directly start a live feed. I think it would get many views. This time we've all got Shuelua to thank for. Right, where's Shuelua herself? Is she here yet? What's the rush? Of course, the lead character must make a grand final entrance. As soon as that was said, Ning Shuelua, who was dressed in a body-hugging white dress with a train, walked in gracefully while being surrounded by the media. Fangya and the rest immediately went up to her. Fangya clung onto Ning Shuelua's arm in a friendly way and said, "Shuelua, you're finally here. You look so pretty today." Ning Shuelua looked at her and said radiantly, "Nah, just the usual." Everyone around her started to compliment her one after another. "Shuelua, your outfit today is really gorgeous. It's so elegant and your figure looks so good." "Aw, what do you lot know? It's not about the dress, it's the glow of love," someone else added. Ning Shuelua covered her face teasingly and said, "You guys are laughing at me again." Fangya intentionally picked up a spoon to pretend it was a mic and started mock interviewing. "Miss Ning Shuelua, I'd like to interview you for a little. How do you feel like having such a perfect boyfriend?" Ning Shuelua smiled sweetly. "Stop messing around. Everyone, eat more tonight. Su Yan has specially invited a 3-star Michelin chef from Hong Sing." The crowd instantly exclaimed, "Wow! Michelin! And 3-star too! My God! Your Su Yan is too generous. How much would this meal cost? A Michelin star invited from Hong Sing? Could it be William Fee?" As Ning Shuelua listened to the crowd's exclamation, she pretended to nonchalantly look towards Ning Shi's direction and casually answered, "It's him. The other day I saw him in a magazine and just casually mentioned him." Who knew? Su Yan really did manage to invite him over. All the girls around were jealous. "Ah. Please have pity on us single ones and stop showing off your perfect boyfriend. Please, even if you had someone, you wouldn't be as loving as them." Ning Shuelua looked at them and said, "All right, that's enough for now. You guys have fun, I'm going over there for a bit." Okay, stop talking to us. Go look for your Su Yan." Xiao Tao, who was accompanying Ningxi in the corner, was so angry that her spoon was almost bent from her incessant hands fiddling and bending it. Damn it! They actually invited the Iron Chef William Fee. My biggest wish is to enjoy a meal cooked by him. Who knew it would happen under such circumstances? This is making me lose my appetite. William Fee. Ningxi seemed to mumble absent-mindedly. Yeah. Xiao Tao said with much gusto, "If you don't know William Fee, you should know Alain Passa, right? He's the head chef at France's top Michelin restaurant. William Fee is his student and he's especially famous and very difficult to book. To enjoy such a meal, commoners like me would go bankrupt to afford it." Ningxi listened and did not say anything. Of course, she knew William Fee. Many years ago, there was a time when she loved to watch the MasterChef TV series. Her favorite chef was called William Fee, and every day after school she would drool in front of the television screen. At that time, Su Yan had teased her and said, "Just you wait for the day of our wedding banquet. I'll invite William Fee to cook for us." Ha, who knew it would be this painful to look back into the past? Before the banquet began, the producer, director, and main casts went up the stage to give their speeches. After everyone's turn, the MC came back up on stage. "Today, we have a gentleman who's going to borrow the stage and say a few words. Let's welcome him." Everyone cheered loudly as they realized it was time for Su Yan's proposal. All the media partners were ready with their equipment, and everyone took videos with their phones enthusiastically. Ningxi sat on the left wing closest to the stage. Seated amongst the crowd, Ningxuelua excitedly looked at the man who was slowly walking up on stage and then sneered at Ningxi's direction. Suyen wore a white suit tonight, which matched Ningxuelua's white mermaid-cut dress. They fit each other like two peas in the same pod. Suyen picked up the mic looking a bit bashful and said, "Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Allow me to calm myself down." The crowd chuckled lightly and waited in anticipation. After a few seconds, Suyen looked at Ningxuelua with an affectionate gaze, and he slowly started in a gentle tone, "Xuelua, it was 5 years ago that I first saw you in your garden. You looked like an angel in your white dress, and it was at that moment that I fell in love with you. The next time we met, you wore a blue school uniform and you called me Bro Yen. It was at that moment that I made a lifelong promise to you. These 5 years, from meeting to knowing each other, we've shared laughter together, we've even shed tears together, we've been through happiness and also through setbacks. But thankfully, after all this, we're still together." Most of the girls could hardly stand such a heartfelt situation, and there was barely a dry eye in the room. Even Xiao Tao, who did not like Ningxuelua, felt touched after hearing what Suyen said. It was then that she realized Ningxi had an odd look on her face. Sis Shi, what happened? Are you all right? You don't look good, are you feeling ill?" Ningxi frowned, "It's all right." "Ha, fell in love at first sight, lifelong promise, indeed." When Suyen had just known Ningxuelua, he had not even broken up with Ningxi, but he had fallen in love with another woman and even given her his promise. Tears and setback? It seemed like she was their tears and setback, the obstacle on their path towards true love. On stage, Suyen held a diamond ring, knelt down on one knee. "Xuelua, will you marry me? Let me take care of you forever. Say yes to him. Just say yes. Xuelua, come on." The crowd was helping Suyen to get a favorable reply from Ningxuelua. Ningxuelua covered her mouth as she shed tears of joy. Everyone cleared a path for Ningxuelua to walk slowly up on stage towards Suyen, with Suyen looking absolutely nervous before she said, "I do." "Oh! Kiss already!" CHCK for US to rise on no/v/l/bin. C0M. Kiss him! Kiss him! With the crowd cheering on, Ningxuelua looked down victoriously at Ningxi, who was drowned out by the people. "Ningxi, see? The man that you loved the most belongs to me now." Ningxi had no expression on her face, not even sadness. Ningxuelua's only trick was to provoke her with the things she cared about. But what Ningxuelua was using against her now was already worthless to her. On the stage, the picture-perfect couple kissed each other passionately. Flashlights shined, as a lot of people were shooting the video live, fueling it as a hot topic online. This grand proposal would sit as the top news headline for quite some time. Soon after the proposal, the banquet began. After the proposal, the next highlight would be the dishes of the night. There was no shortage of food aficionados tonight, including some food columnists and famous food bloggers, all of them excitedly anticipating the main chef William Fee. Just the banquet itself was already stellar enough for the headline. Unexpectedly, among the crowd, Fang Ye yelled, "Ah, I suddenly remembered something." Fang Ye's loud voice drew the attention of almost everyone. As she had everyone's attention, she faked curiosity and looked at Ningxi, who was in the corner. "Ningxi, didn't the romantic admirer who wrote you the love letter yesterday mention that he was going to give you a surprise? Why haven't we seen anything yet?" Upon this reminder, the crowd got excited and the hall was filled with chatter. Right, the love letter even mentioned that he would prepare something that was most honorable, most tempting, and make one wouldn't able to resist it. He's got all of us curious, how exciting. What surprise. Is there going to be another surprise? Some confused media reporters asked. Well, it's our other lead actress, Ningxi. Yesterday, she received a passionate love letter, explained Fang Ye, taking out a pink letter. When she saw the letter, Xiao Tao turned pale and exclaimed, "How in the world? I've already thrown the letter away." How did she get it? Ningxi frowned. Sis Shi, it was my fault. I shouldn't have just thrown it away, I should have destroyed it. How? What should I do now? Xiao Tao anxiously stammered. Ningxi patted her back and comforted her, "It's okay, it was just a love letter. Fang Ye publicly violated my privacy and the media won't take too kindly to that. We can fight back later on." Xiao Tao was about to cry, "But you've already lost face, there are so many people today, it's all my fault." Fang Ye recited the contents of the letter all over again to the public and even passed the love letter around. Almost everyone read through it, and there was even a reporter taking pictures of it while laughing hard. Suyen raised his brows. Does Xiao Shi's admirer have some sort of mental problem? Will she be okay? Ning Xuelua hid her evil grin. From the tone of the letter, it's a little odd, most probably from a poor pleb that found mental support by worshipping celebrities. There are actually a lot of people like that, it's just Ningxi's luck that that guy chose her. When Fang Ye finished reading, she walked up to Ningxi. How was it, Ningxi? Why don't you say anything? Where's your surprise? Everyone's waiting. CHCK for US to rise on no/v/l/bin. C0M. Yeah. Urge him for the surprise. We're really looking forward to it. Speaking of which, that pleb wouldn't really send a truck of cornbread, would he? I've never really eaten cornbread before. Looks like I'll get to try something new tonight. A lot of people were taking pictures, and some even took live videos. Everyone waited to watch what was going to happen. In the corner, Xiao Tao was really embarrassed and blamed herself, crying profusely. Ningxi could not stand girls crying, so she tried really hard to comfort her. Then, there happened to be an annoying reporter who saw Xiao Tao and rudely pointed his camera in front of Xiao Tao's face. As Ningxi was going to tell the reporter off, bam, the door to the banquet hall opened from outside. Everyone looked over to see the owner of the hotel himself standing at the doorstep, followed by a tall and heavy-built male Caucasian. Somewhere in the crowd, someone's utensils fell and made a loud clattering sound. The food journalist who kept on praising William Fee suddenly stood up, staring at the man behind the hotel owner, and excitedly said, "William Fee." People used to only see him on magazine covers, but tonight they got to see him in the flesh. Compared to the magazine covers, William Fee carried a commanding aura. A number of actresses tried to get their act together and attempted to get his attention. With his rugged Caucasian looks and his international fame, he looked very manly as well. The one at the entrance looks like the hotel owner, but who's the man behind him? Some guests who had never seen him before asked. Check out LTSTVL on novl/bin. cm. It's William Fee himself, the food journalist excitedly yelled. Aw. He's William Fee. What a handsome man. I thought he's some big shot celebrity. Upon hearing that he was William Fee, many guests hurried over and asked for a picture together. William Fee smiled lightly, and he did not reject the requests, fulfilling them all one by one. Xiao Tao clenched her fists tightly and looked back at Ningxi. Frustratedly she said, "It was all for the hype." They even let William Fee take pictures with the guests so that there would be a lot more for the reporters to write about tomorrow: romantic proposals, the famous William Fee and whatnot. Ningxi shook her head and hinted to Xiao Tao to stop talking. In a public event like this, it would be better to speak less to avoid unnecessary attention and trouble. Luckily, everyone was so focused on William Fee that they did not hear what Xiao Tao said. It's true, Ning Xuelua's acting skills aren't better than yours. Her looks and characters aren't even comparable to yours, but why is it that she always gets the limelight? Xiao Tao complained, feeling unfair on behalf of Ning Shi. From Xiao Tao's perspective, Ning Shi's outlook and acting skills were far superior to Ning Xuelua's, and most importantly, her character was so much better too. Ning Xuelua had carved a very strong presence among the shooting crew and seemed very easy to get along with, but little did most people know. As Xiao Tao had been following Ning Shi, she could see through Ning Xuelua's intentions. They had always said that Ning Shi was jealous of Ning Xuelua and tried to compete for attention with her when in truth, Ning Shi did not care at all, and it was Ning Xuelua's who tried to provoke her every time. I'm very honored to be serving dinner to Miss Ning personally tonight, and I'm happy for Mr. Su Yan's successful proposal. William Fee walked up the stage with poise and spoke to Ning Xuelua and Su Yan warmly. I'm honored as well to have you here, Mr. Fee, Ning Xuelua smiled. Thank you, my friend. Su Yan hugged William Fee like long-lost friends. The banquet hall was in an uproar. For a renowned chef like William Fee to be invited to a celebration dinner such as this was no easy feat. He was regarded as one of the top celebrities in the world. It was only because of Su Yan's relationship with him that he promised to show up. Oh my God, Xuelua must be the happiest woman on earth. If someone would put this much effort in for me. Stop daydreaming, not everyone is able to invite William Fee to their dinner. There's only one Su Yan, and there's also only one William Fee. A bunch of actresses behind Ning Xuelua talked endlessly in excited, high-pitched voices. A top chef like William Fee is so difficult to book, what more is he's a Land Passes student. With such an outstanding profile, there aren't many who can afford him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will be preparing the banquet for everyone. Please wait patiently. William Fee left the banquet hall and went on to prepare dinner. As he left, a bunch of food journalists quickly trailed after him as they did not want to miss any opportunity to take his picture. A combination of mouth-watering cooking plus a handsome man, what a hot topic. A while after William Fee and the bunch of journalists left, the banquet hall door opened again. Everyone thought William Fee was done preparing dinner, but it wasn't him. Instead, it was a middle-aged foreign chef standing in the doorway. Why is there another chef now? Fang Yu looked at the man who had just entered, clad in a chef's uniform, and she was slightly suspicious. Anyone knows who this chef is? Everyone in the banquet hall shook their head and was lost. They were not gourmet journalists, thus naturally, they would not know who this man was. Only Ning Shi, who was in the corner, stared in complete surprise. Why did this chef look a little like Alan Passa, master to Iron Chef William Fee? But Ning Shi dared not confirm this, so she did not say anything. He probably only looked similar to the famous chef. Honorable guests, I am here to prepare the banquet for Miss Ning, the chef said. Prepare the banquet? That's weird, is it for Xuelua? But isn't the head chef of the banquet William Fee? Where did this chef come from? Ning Xuelua looked at Su Yan, who was confused as well and suddenly thought of something. She reminded softly to Fang Ye, I think this is for Ning Shi. Fang Ye suddenly understood and laughed out loud. She raised her voice and said, Ah, it turns out this is the chef that will be preparing the banquet dinner for our Ning Shi over here. Could it be that this was the pleb admirer's surprise for Ning Shi? Haha, this really is such an unexpected surprise. When they heard Fang Ye said that, everyone in the drama team suddenly understood and looked at Ning Shi. They laughed mockingly at her. Indeed, if there were no comparisons, there would be no hard feelings. This comparison and the damage done was beyond comparison. Su Yan had invited Michelin chef William Fee, who was known as the Iron Chef, so who did Ning Shi's admirer invite? Which back alley restaurant's head chef was this? He even specifically invited a Caucasian to look the part. Haha, that pleb admirer is really creative. He even thought of the same idea as Su Yen, but if you don't have the same capabilities, don't humiliate yourselves then. Look. That chef actually brought his own setup here. Maybe he wants to prepare and serve the dishes himself? He's indeed a big chef, The crowd started to laugh hysterically at the comments thrown. Some actresses even laughed until they teared up. Even though they expected that Ningxi would be humiliated today, the extent of the humiliation was truly surprising. The Caucasian chef continued to be very calm throughout the sneers and jeers, continuing to take out his equipment. Anyone familiar with the food and beverage industry could easily see that these were luxurious knife sets being taken out. However, despite these equipment being expensive beyond comparison, it was hard to notice anything outstanding about them on the surface. Seeing that the chef bring out his own set of equipment, Fanya and everyone else laughed even more hysterically. The sneers droned on one after another, mercilessly. In the corner, Xiao Tao's face was beet red. She wished there was a hole she could hide in. Many eyes fell on Ningxi as they waited for the joke to unravel further. She must already feel really embarrassed, and now the chef was putting on a comedy show. Ningxi Elua was about to say something when the gourmet journalists who followed William Fee out earlier finally returned. They surrounded William, who had just finished preparing the banquet course. The hotel waiters carefully served the appetizer of scallop with white truffles to all the guests. All the gourmet journalists were busy trying to record the serving of the appetizer. Then, one of the journalists suddenly saw the calm Caucasian chef, and in that instant, his mind turned blank like thunder had struck him. He suddenly forgot about taking pictures and spluttered in disbelief, My God. Alain Passa. No way, it's actually Alain Passa. Mr. Alain Passa, what are you doing here? Upstarted T from N0/V/LBN/.co/M. Alain Passa? Who's that journalist talking about? I don't know, who's that? Why is that journalist being so emotional? The guests who were unaware of the man's identity looked at each other in confusion while the other gourmet journalists were floored in awe. When the gourmet journalists had returned to their senses, they started to excitedly explain to those around them, Alain Passa. He is the head chef at F Country's 3-star Michelin restaurant, Le Doyen. F Country's recognized #1 master of cookery. Fanya's face was flabbergasted when she heard that Caucasian chef is someone famous. Can he compare to our William Fee? One of the gourmet show hosts looked at Fanya like she was an idiot and said that William Fee is a so-called iron chef, but he can only go places in a restaurant like Hong Sing. This Mr. Alain Passa, on the other hand, is William Fee's master. He's the authentic iron chef, do you understand? What? William Fee's master? Fanya finally reacted in shock. F Country's #1 master of cookery? That's so freaking cool. Why would he suddenly be here? Even money can't buy such a chef. You'd probably need to book at least half a year in advance. You're right, I remember now. The last time there was a very famous artiste who wanted to invite him for her birthday banquet and said that no matter how much it would cost her, she'd fork out the money. Alas, she didn't manage to invite him. Rumor was that he thought she was too low-ranking. Are you sure? How did the pleb manage to invite someone this amazing? Behind the gourmet journalists, William Fee was approaching them when he lifted his head and immediately saw the Caucasian chef in the banquet. He was bewildered. He quickly went up to greet the chef and said, "Master." Once William Fee addressed him as master, all the guests present were dumbfounded, and no one was doubtful anymore. This man was really William Fee's master. Alain Passa's expression was serious as he briefly nodded. Why are you here? William Fee asked in surprise. Then, a guest explained, Mr. Alain Passa is also here to be in charge of this banquet. He said it was for Miss Ning. Once that was clarified, all the gourmet journalists were blown away by the atrocity of the situation. Fong Yi quickly thought about something. She then exclaimed, My God! Just now, Mr. Alain Passa said he was preparing this for Miss Ning, and I thought it was for Ning Shi. Who knew? It was actually Xuelua he meant, right? I'm so stupid. Xuelua's surname is Ning too. When everyone else heard this, they echoed her, You're right. Everyone's misunderstood, this is embarrassing. Actually, we shouldn't blame ourselves. Su Yan had already invited William Fee, who knew that he had also invited William Fee's master. Xuelua, you better watch your man. As she watched the crowd's envy for her, Ning Xuelua's heart was full of surprise and happiness. She intimately clung onto Su Yan's arm and gave him a shy kiss. Yan, thank you, I'm too surprised, too happy, and too lucky today. Su Yan's expression was stiff. Xuelua, actually. Ning Xuelua laughed slightly. Yan, don't be shy now. You're good to me, I know. Everyone started to tease them playfully. Io, don't be shy now. There's nothing shameful about spoiling your wife. We almost thought that pleb invited him for Ningxi, but we were so wrong. How could he possibly have? This is so funny, how could she compare to our beautiful goddess Xuelua? Exactly. Su Yan's surprise is really mind-blowing. He's frightened all of us now. Exactly, look at how emotional all those gourmet journalists were. And he almost made us have such a huge misunderstanding. Su Yan wanted to explain, but as he saw the crowd was complimenting him non-stop and his Ning Xuelua full of pride, he did not have the chance to tell the truth in the end. The truth was that he really did not invite this person. Then, who could it possibly have been? Could it be that the hotel owner invited him, to make him owe him one? Well, it could be possible. Once he thought about the possibility of that, he felt reassured. He put on a humble expression and no longer denied the crowd's compliments. In the corner, Xiao Tao was full of anger and sadness. So what if you were rich? I'm so angry, he even invited the master over. Even if it was really delicious, I won't eat it. Ningxi sighed lightly and patted Xiao Tao to console her. At the same time, her eyes flashed as she felt suspicious. She had heard of F Country's master of cookery, Alain Passa, too. However, logically, for such a small-scale banquet like this, even if they followed his rules and made a booking in advance, and managed to get a slot with a hefty upfront payment, it was below him to have attended such an event. How did Su Yan manage to invite him over? Since his master was personally preparing the food, William Fee naturally took the place of second in command. He stood at the spot of sous chef. There was an open-style cooking table at the banquet, and it seemed like he was preparing to cook on the spot. This was such a visually and tastefully pleasing grand banquet. At the banquet, everyone watched Alain Passa with full anticipation. All their mouths involuntarily drooled as they anticipated the grand feast. Yet, for some reason, Alain Passa did not walk to the head chef's position as expected. Instead, he walked to the sous chef position where William Fee was at. Master, you are. William Fee was confused. Your favorite ovals at n/vl/bin.com. Alain Passa's expression was serious as he looked at his student and said, You can leave now for this banquet, I will be taking on the sous chef position. What? William Fee's face was full of shock as he asked, You're going to be sous chef? Aren't you tonight's head chef? I'm not, Alain Passa denied. Then who's tonight's head chef? William Fee was officially dumbfounded. Alain Passa said with utmost respect, "Wait till he gets here, then you'll know." After he said that, he paused and told his student, "This is also considered a rare opportunity to learn. Perhaps you should stay a while and watch from the side." When William Fee heard this, he was not too happy. Who was this person that denied him even the opportunity of being a sous chef, to only watch idly from the side? He received fame at a young age and was arrogant. How could he handle such an insult? Yet, he dared not go against his master's orders, and could only reluctantly move to a corner. "Okay, understood." Initially, the guests watched William Fee take up the spot of sous chef. Then, they saw Alain Passa walk to the sous chef spot, and at last, William Fee unexpectedly had no place to stand at all and was sent all the way to the corner. Everyone was dumbfounded. What is happening? "I don't know. Seems like someone else is coming. It seems like Alain Passa is just the sous chef. The actual head chef isn't here yet." A food journalist almost hyperventilated, "Oh my God. This is crazy. At his level, Alain Passa's just a sous chef? Who is this head chef?" Another food blogger made a praying gesture, "I'm already grateful enough to have the opportunity to see one master in my lifetime. Maybe, I'd be honored enough to see the legendary one." "Who is it?" someone asked. For Alain to only be the sous chef, who else could it be? The food blogger raised an eyebrow mysteriously. All the other food journalists and bloggers thought of the only one person that fit the criteria simultaneously, although it was unbelievable. The hall started to splutter in disbelief. This is impossible. Discover NW Chapter SNN0EL by .com. I don't think it's possible. There's no way that anyone can invite that person. Or else I'll swallow this wine glass. And I'll swallow this spoon. Time passed slowly and 5 minutes went by. With everyone's expectations in limbo, the banquet hall's door opened once again. The first person to walk in was an elderly foreigner in a neat uniform, followed by a team that was obviously well disciplined. The old man led them in slowly and calmly. The hotel owner saw the old man and went up to him, stretching his hands out excitedly. "Mr. Daniel, you're finally here. We've prepared everything already. It's all just waiting for you." The man nodded, politely shook hands with the owner, then walked to the position of head chef. Alain, who was at the sous chef position, took a stiff 90-degree bow, then personally tied an apron on Mr. Daniel, and prepared some lemon water for him to clean his hands. When William, who was sulking at the corner, saw the older man, his eyes almost fell out and he started stammering, "Master Daniel, how is it possible? Am I dreaming?" He pinched himself and winced at the pain. Master Daniel had been his idol ever since he started his chef career. The man had a special place in William's heart. He would have no regrets even if he could watch his idol from afar, what more now as he could observe him at such a close distance. His disappointment at not being able to perform dissipated into joy. Those who had said they would swallow wine glasses and spoons were all in shock. "Someone please pinch me. Pinch me harder. I must be dreaming right now." "You had better pinch yourself." "I've been pinching myself since just now. My thigh is bruised from the pinching. It's not a dream." "Who's this old man now?" Fanya asked curiously. Some crew members who were confused echoed, "Yeah, who's this? Someone better than William's master?" One of the experienced food journalists stared at the older man's every move and explained in a respectful tone, "If William represents the top among the younger generations of food practitioners, then his master Alain Passa is the pillar of the industry, representing the highest standard in the culinary field." "What about Daniel then?" someone asked. "Daniel Joseph. Another food blogger gasped, his existence is akin to a textbook for every practitioner, the Bible for all food lovers, the eternal classic culinary god, and Country F's treasured master. While the food journalist sighed, he seemed extremely excited as well. Everyone, please cherish the dinner, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Fong Yu blinked, I don't really get it, so are you saying that this man is famous? Some people express their ignorance as well, I don't really get what you are going on about that man, but his skills sound out of this world. Anyhow, I'm going to eat as much of this once-in-a-lifetime dinner as possible. It's a good thing I didn't eat anything today and saved my stomach for this dinner. Fong Yu smiled and went to Ning Xuelua, cooing, Xuelua, your Su Yan must have thrown in a lot of money into this. It might not even be enough for you to just give yourself to him. Quickly get married and make him a baby. Ha ha ha, she's right. That makes sense. You have to make a few babies. Ning Xuelua was embarrassed. Hey, you guys stop it. Okay, that's enough already. Su Yan looked at his girl lovingly, and at this point, he thought that the hotel invited these two masters in order to get on the Su family's good side, so he just smiled and quietly received the praises from the crowd. Oh, someone's being protective. This is giving me goosebumps. I can't watch anymore. Fong Yu was knocking her plate, while slyly looking at Ningxi's direction. Someone is trying to act calm, but I guess she's going to explode from all the jealousy? I thought she loves to compete against our Xuelua. Come on now. Well, you can't blame her, Su Yan really outdid himself this time. The top masters from 3 generations, each of them a legend of their time, and he gathered them all here at once. That's the Su family for you. What an outstanding background. Ningxi acted well, but her assistant is still too young. Did you see her almost cry? When she heard people talking about her, Xiaotao held in her tears and tried not to embarrass herself anymore. Sis Shi, I'm sorry. Ningxi hugged her, it's all right, you've apologized countless times already, and even if anyone were to apologize, it should be me. I've let you down, I'm not strong enough to protect you from being blamed by these vultures. Xiaotao started sobbing as she could not hold it in anymore, and she cried in Ningxi's arms. While she was not really satisfied with the change in actresses from Lin Manyu to Ningxi, she actually really liked Ningxi. While Lin Manyu was very upper class, she had a very proud character and was not all that easy to interact with. On the other hand, Ningxi was very easygoing, and she would try to make you happy. Even at times like these, she was comforting Xiaotao when the roles should have been reversed. The source of this content n/o/v/l by n. Luckily, Mr. Daniel started to cook, so everyone's attention was on him and no one noticed Ningxi and Xiaotao in the corner. Actually, what had happened tonight was one of the best scenarios Ningxi could have imagined. Even though she received some supercilious looks, it was not that much of an issue. Still, she felt uneasy. With that person's evil character, he would not just sit back and do nothing since he mentioned a surprise. It seemed that it would not be easy to get through the night peacefully. Oh, Oscar, please grant your blessings and don't let anything go wrong. If that bastard ruined her career, she would definitely not leave him in peace. On the stage, the smug Ning Xuelua thought of something. She then smiled and looked at Ningxi, gently calling out to her, Ningxi, can you come over? Hearing Ning Xuelua asking Ningxi to go on stage, Fong Yu and the rest were a bit confused. Why would she ask that woman to go on stage? But since it was Ning Xuelua's request, they did not have any objections. Xiaotao stared at Ning Xuelua and felt angry. Sis Shi, just go. If not, others would think that we're afraid of her. What can she do under everyone's watchful eyes anyway? Under this circumstances, it would reflect badly on her if she rejected Ning Xuelua directly. Moreover, there were people shooting the scene live. Ningxi narrowed her eyes. After fighting with her for so many years, she could pretty much predict what Ning Xuelua would do based on her past experience. Ningxi did not hesitate and stood up slowly, then walked up on stage, right in front of Ning Xuelua. Seeing the both of them together, some actresses let out a cold laugh. This was one interesting scenario. If Ningxi's freaky admirer were to come in with his surprise soon, it would be perfect. Ning Xuelua warmly welcomed Ningxi to sit beside her. Ningxi, I heard that you're really interested in these top masters in the culinary industry. You can't get a good view from the place you were sitting just now, you can see better from here. It's rare to get such a chance to see them up close. As she finished her sentence, she latched onto Su Yan's arm and nestled her body closer to his. Ningxi just smiled politely and did not say anything, knowing that Ning Xuelua was just up to no good as she tried to discuss Ningxi. She can still stay so calm while feeling unhappy. What a good actress! Fanya said sarcastically as the other crew members whispered their agreement, looking at Ningxi with funny looks. What do you guys think Ningxi's admirer will come with? If he's not here soon, the night will be over. Who knows, you can never guess how a weirdo thinks. Ha ha ha, let us enjoy our dinner first. We might not have the appetite anymore after seeing her admirer. Get your Avrite ovals at no/v/e/lbn.com. Facing all the guests who were observing him attentively, Mr. Daniel stopped and looked at the crowd. He then started speaking in his fluent Mandarin. Tonight, I'm very honored to be invited here to be in charge of the beautiful and honorable Ms. Ning's banquet. For you, Miss Ning, and for your friends and guests, I'll surely prepare an enjoyable meal. The old man bowed towards Ningxi and Ning Xuelua, beaming as he said, to the beautiful and honorable Ms. Ning, I hope that you enjoy the night. Ning Xuelua smiled happily and nodded at him. Seeing this, the older man's brows knitted in confusion. He had actually been talking to Ms. Ningxi, but why did the woman beside her nod instead? But the elder did not care much, his mission tonight was to prepare the banquet, as for other things, it was none of his business. Well, that's all for this part, truckers. See you all in the next video.